Time to share the Discord. Oops. There we go. So that's shared. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Yeah, 3 R word.
Ajluni. There we go. Hey, Christopher. Give me 1 second. I'm doing all my shares and all that fun stuff. Okay, that's down all the way. Hey, PJ. How you doing? Okay, and then we will do this and that and end and end. Be proud of me. I remember to put deodorant on today. And then we will bring you up.
TV man yet? Hey,
There we go.
Max.
Okay, invitation sent. You've accepted. Let me turn the volume up so I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. Beautiful. That's what I wanted to make sure.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. I'm glad you're doing good tonight, PJ.
I'm about 5 minutes from home, so I'll be on camera in just a second. So.
Oh, you're fine. We can just chit chat until you get there. I'm saying hi to everybody who's coming in. Hey, baby. Thank you for sharing the live. Welcome in, everyone. So we have Christopher Ajluni. I am so sorry. I went through and listened to your videos to make sure I was pronouncing your last name right because I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe my dyslexia did that to me. I feel mortified.
No, it's okay, but if you put the L in front of the J, then you sort of make me Muslim almost.
Yeah,
So
I'm not trying to do that.
it's just a funny thing that happens. But it's very common for Arabic last names to start with AL. But again, if they're Muslim, so no, it's just a joke. But.
Whereas I'm very, very Italian, and I am very surprised when anybody can pronounce my name right the first time. I'm like, you pronounce my name right. I'm like, that never happens.
No, I'm just joking. I don't think your name is Shadow Kitten, but that is a good handle. I think I like it.
I like it. It fits me. It fits my personality. It fits like we joke about. I am the chaos kitten because wherever I go, chaos follows, and I don't even plan to have it happen. It just happens, and I take a step back, going, I didn't do that, but I'm here for the drama. Thank you for the heart me rock.
Fan, or do you like any of like
You're breaking up.
I was just saying, reality TV. Are you a fan of reality?
Still breaking up.
Camelback.
You're fine, Christopher.
As I always get sad. It'll be better in just a second. Like I say, I'm almost home in Wi-Fi, so.
Oh yeah, no, you are fine. You are absolutely fine. So, crochet pattern for what, baby? A blanket?
But I was saying, are you a reality TV fan? That was my question.
So, yes and no. I've watched some of it, but it's not the thing I go to. I'm more of an anime girl. Hey, G-Bone, welcome in. And you got kicked out of a driving range for hitting a bird with your golf ball? Oops. Oh, hey, Rock, you went out and you bought yourself clothes? That's awesome. Welcome in, everyone. So Christopher is running in Arizona. He is running for Congress, which is the House of Reps, and he is running for District 1. Cool, Jay. I'm glad you don't care. You can move along then.
And that's Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, Fountain Hills, Cave Creek, and a little bit of Phoenix and Mesa too. Anything east of the 17 and north of the 202, you should be in my district pretty much. So
Gotcha. So how many districts are in Arizona?
I think we have 9 or something like that. So we're a pretty large population state. So the House of Representatives is based on and then 11 if you include the rest of the congressional delegation to Congress. So.
Gotcha. So I was just asking because 3 weeks ago I was out in Arizona visiting my best friend who lives there, and she lives just outside of Phoenix. I think she's on just outside of where you are because she's more to the southwest of Phoenix, just a little bit. She's 10 minutes from the Sky Harbor Airport.
Okay.
So if that gives you an idea.
Yeah, that's probably outside, but very close to my district, and a lot of overlapping candidates even have some parts in that district and this district. But yeah, for House of Representatives, the only thing she can do is volunteer for me. So if she ever wants to do that, let her know.
Yeah. And again, we will go into, because somebody was pointing out, well, you're going to end up asking for money. I will tell you the first thing about my streams is I don't actually ask anybody for money. I do ask if they can join the fan club. Please do spare a penny. That'd be fantastic. It helps to get me out in the algorithm. But they don't have to donate. It's more of I want people to come in and have a conversation and understand there's no pressure to spend money. I'd much prefer you like the live, you share the live, and you join in on the conversation, because all of that helps me so much more than money donations do.
Yeah, I don't take money right now. I will take small donations during the actual election once I get on the ballot, but right now I just don't need money. I mean, what I need is people working for me and people, spending just a little bit of time to help me get the signatures to be on the ballot. And then we'll talk about money at that point. But at this point, I know people need their money. Like, I don't want to take the little that they have between their 3 jobs and not having health care. And I mean, it just doesn't make any sense that we would spend so much money just to decide who represents us. And really, the people that end up spending that money don't really represent us that well. They end up just deciding to try to avoid us and then do whatever their donors are asking them to do and telling them to do, really.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things I do talk about is the distinction I have between grassroots representatives and corporate politicians. Because somebody asked me recently why I don't become a politician. I'm like, oh, no. We do not use that word. That word is dirty. That word is associated with dirty money. It's associated with corporations. It's associated with what we have now, which we don't like. None of us really like it, because we know everybody who's in office is working for whatever corporation is their sponsor. Dan was talking about a meme about, if Congress people wore sports jackets like NASCAR drivers do with all their sponsors on it, it'd be very telling, and for some people, very damning.
I think that comes from Robin Williams live on Broadway. I'm pretty sure that was where he made a joke about that it would be funny if they all had to wear those patches that they wear in NASCAR. You can just imagine it would be very, very funny, especially like during one of those press conferences where they're telling us that we're going to, quote unquote, have leverage / just colonize like Venezuela. Mm-hmm. It'd be funny if they had like all these different ExxonMobil and, patches on their jacket. You'd actually see who is the reason for that war, that, military action.
Actually backing it. The real people backing it. The real people pulling the strings. So
I've started to call them that. I've started to call them backers instead of donors, because it's really like you're a race car driver, and these are the people that you have to listen to because they're the ones funding your race car.
They're the ones who are pulling your strings because you are nothing more than a marionette.
Yep. I just don't want to be that. I want to be a person that can do country over party, and that's why I'm not running. I don't feel represented. And when I talk to people all over the country, and really like mostly here in my district, that's the response I get, that, the only reason they wouldn't support me is just because they're worried that I'm not viable. And that's what's been baked in as the conditioning for everybody, so that they think that the only options are these 2 parties. But the way these 2 parties do it, I want you to know, It's really Jacksonian, and that comes from Andrew Jackson. He's the first one out of all of the kind of early leaders of the country that decided that running in these big, parties with all this money and having all these like big rallies and stuff was what he wanted to do. And they took from that because they realized that with that structure, they could really put a lot of control on us. So.
Oh, yeah. No. And if you go through and you actually read George Washington's writings, Thomas Jefferson's writing, John Adams, James Madison, like the actual founders of our country, this is never what they entailed for us. And yeah, okay, so our system was set up that in case this happens, believe it or not, they actually predicted at one point the federal government would become corrupt. That's when we go back to states. And if you live in a state that does not represent you, that does not represent the people, does not represent the constituents, those are the states where we need to take our power back. We absolutely need to take our power back. Why? Because as long as we have people listening to their backers, listening to those big donors, listening to the people who pull their strings, we are never, ever going to get out from underneath the beast we're under.
Totally agree.
But that's where I go to grassroots representatives. And somebody brought up indivisible, and I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, I want reason. He goes, indivisible co-lawyers. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know there was a grassroots movement. Yeah, no, I'm not part of that. I had no idea about that. I genuinely am just trying to find candidates in any state that when we have a conversation, these are things that people care about. These are the things that they want to hear. They want actual real people in those positions who understand what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. Because if you understand what it's like, why would you want anybody else to live that way?
All right, I'm here.
Awesome. Well, hi there.
How you doing?
So, hey Cerberus, welcome in. First question for you, and I asked this one to Ethan is, okay, so before you decided that you wanted to start running, what were you doing job-wise, career-wise? What was it that you were doing?
Yeah, so for the last 15 years, I've worked in the financial services industry, basically having conversations with the American people all over the country about how they can better their circumstances financially, because they don't teach you that in high school. They don't tell you how to do your taxes or what an investment looks like. And I think it's probably on purpose to just make it easier for companies to sort of prey off of us. But I really believe in ethical sales and ethical, work in business. And so that's why now in the last couple of years here, I've really shifted. I still do financial services full time. And then I have a nonprofit that I run called Azahir. And we do psychosocial support and education for kids that are refugees, Palestinian refugees in northern Lebanon, and called social entrepreneurship. And so that's the type of work that I really want to expand more on, because again, I'm like an ethical guy. I want to have a good impact on the world, and especially in places like in northern Lebanon where poverty has tripled over the last decade. We need things to be happening for those people so that they can have the things that we appreciate in this country, like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And
let's be honest about that.
Yeah, I know it's far away, but really, like, our money and our weapons have kept the Palestinians stateless for a very, very long time. And so we need to change our policies. We shouldn't be running other countries. We shouldn't be giving other countries to different groups of people that we like better than others. That's called imperialism. And so I look at Palestine like a colony of the United States, because we control their outcome of their lives right now, even though, they're not Americans. It is our policies that have dictated the way that they've lived for the last 80 years. So there needs to be a change. It doesn't match the American values to deprive people of the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And so that's a really big issue for me. But I mean, I am absolutely totally focused on America. And, I go to the grocery store. Like, I'm a real person, like we were talking about before. Like, I want to make life better for my neighbors. That's why I'm doing this.
I mean, honestly, like what I look for is, okay, when was the last time you went to the grocery store and actually looked at your bill and saw that, oh, it's gone up $20 since the last time I went, but I got less items? How did that happen?
No, they came out with guidance. I made a short video about this on TikTok. They made guidance for Thanksgiving last year, And they were saying, "Oh, it's better because we're giving you more food for less money." And when I did the math, they actually changed the number of people that the meal was supposed to be for. They raised the number of people. So, and then that's how they were doing this for sort of funky math to say, "Oh, it's cheaper." And in actuality, they're literally saying, "Well, just eat less food. Each person eat less food." So, they have all these ways that they use PR to make things sound better than they are, like school vouchers, right? That's like one of the biggest ways they do it. They say it's called school choice. But at the end of the day, it's taking money away from public schools, and then people are using that money and we don't even know where it's going to. They think there's, millions of dollars of waste just in my state, and that's happening all over the country. So.
Yep. No, it is happening all over the country. A perfect example of that is Indiana. They opted not to renew their Sunbucks program this year, which is the federal money that comes in to feed kids who are in a impoverished state over summer. My kids, we believe it or not, are part of that. It's $120 per kid over the summer. It's $240 to help feed my kids for 8 weeks to just make sure they have lunch, and on the weekends too. Like, that's literally all it is. It's not a lot of money. It's for 2 months. It's $60 a month. That's $15 a week per kid. You know how that breaks down? That breaks down to $3 a day. $3 a day for 5 days. $3 a day. But God, they couldn't do it because, honestly, literally, Google it. The paperwork was too much of a hassle.
It's Pisces season, and I'm a Pisces, so I wear my heart on my sleeve. But I'll tell you, when I was in November hearing those stories about mothers who were choosing to feed their kids instead of themselves because of the SNAP cuts that were being proposed, I mean, it just breaks you up. As an American, no kid should be going hungry in the richest country in the world.
If I told you that over the summer for a while, my husband and I were alternating who skipped meals to make sure the kids get 3 meals a day. Yeah, I was eating basically every other day. We were alternating who was eating to make sure our kids stayed fed because we weren't sure if we'd have enough money over the summer to do so. And that was with the money from the Sunbucks. So imagine how it's going to be for a lot of the moms or just single parents or even the parents that have 2 incomes where they're still not able to generate that extra money without working extra hours. So what are you going to do? You're going to put your kids in daycare? Well, that's expensive. You're not going to work. Well, that's expensive. You're just going to leave them home by themselves. I hope they're old enough to stay home by themselves for a few hours. I understand. So we get it here. And when I was there, and my friend, she's like, yeah, I live in the ghetto. Like, she pays $1,000 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment that is about the size of my living room and kitchen combined.
That's incredible. The cost of living is so high right now. That's why no one can think about getting a house. Nobody can save money. Everybody's working 2 or 3 jobs. And they asked me, I was on Fox 10 Talks this morning, which is the morning show for Fox here. And they asked me, like, why now? Like, what do you, what's the point? Why are you doing this right now? And I was, I just wanted to tell them, like, there's no sign big enough. But really, I feel I would love to be more locally, start there, start like it's traditional, go work in the state house or go work on the city council. We just can't. We can't wait for the federal government to get their shit together. And, we have like measures in place so that certain candidates can run clean elections campaigns that are down ballot. But the Congress doesn't have anything like that. And they have the most power. So I just don't know why people are even confused why I'm running right now. People my age, I'm 37. People my age, people younger, we feel like there's no opportunity. And like when I was a kid, they would always say this thing where they would be like, well, we're working really hard so that you have a better life than what we had. You
And I'm 41, sweetheart. I get it. I'm right there with you. The guy I interviewed, he's 38. There's only a few years between us. We are part of that same generation, believe it or not. And it's one of those, like, no, I get it. Like, my parents tried to give me a better life than they have, and I've been trying to do the same for my kids, but I can't. Like, so I have to figure out other ways to make it a better life. So I say yes a lot more, especially when other people's parents are paying for the shit.
Yeah, someone in the comments just they put a trillion on the debt in the past 5 months. And even the candidate the representative that I want to replace, David Schweikert, he's dropped out. Now he's running for governor somehow. But in 16 years or so of being in office, The debt has more than doubled. And his whole thing is to talk about the debt and talk about how we're not fiscally responsible enough. And it's like, now you want to run for governor, man, like you failed at your job. Like everything that you said you wanted to do went the opposite direction. We're worse off now. And now you want us to promote you? Like, I just don't understand how that could possibly be a good idea. And there's 25 people running for my seat that I want to run in.
Right.
I'm running because there's a genocide. I'm running because that's endorsed by us. I'm running because people can't barely feed their kids. I'm running because people can't afford to go to the doctor. I was on a podcast called Healthcare Uprising that's on TikTok. And one of the hosts even was saying that he doesn't have health care and he won't go get a colonoscopy because even if he figured out he had cancer, he wouldn't be able to afford the chemo. I mean, just imagine thinking like that you're avoiding that. And so the country needs help. We need young people to step up right now. So
I have a story about that even with health insurance, a mammogram is $700. The MRI I need because I have dense tissue is $300 out of pocket, and insurance doesn't cover it. And they want me to do that annually. They want me to spend $1,000 every year to have them look at my boobs.
no, I mean,
I can't afford that, and that is with insurance.
when there's a situation where 1 in 3 women have breast cancer in their lifetime, and you need to be able to go to work. I mean, I was with my mom when she had chemo for breast cancer. And I remember how weak it made her, how sick it made her, how she lost her hair. Like, I don't know how you're supposed to afford that and go to work like that if you get it as a younger person. So much.
Here's the thing. I had to let my doctors know because I didn't know this actually had pertained to it. I'm part Ashkenazi Jew. Did you know they are significantly more likely to end up with breast cancer? Significantly.
Yeah,
And I'm like, well, no wonder.
You're like getting me back into my like cell biology days 20 years ago. That's what I did in college, and they were always a really interesting population to study. But you know, everybody has differences. Like there's people that are susceptible more to hypertension, or my family, we got a history of heart disease. My grandfather died when he was 50, so I could only have like 13 years left of my life. Like we gotta.
Rock was saying, like it should be free, especially mammograms. I'm sorry, if that is something you were going to require us to do annually, it should be freaking affordable. I like your shirt.
Someone said it's a Transformers shirt.
No, they were talking about mine.
This is yours. Oh, I'm so silly. Never mind. Okay.
This is one of my husband's shirts that I stole, and he is a huge Transformers fan. Look at my living room. Okay, those are all Transformers, and then they accumulate in his magnum opus back there, which is Unicron.
Those aren't Gundam, are they? I had a friend when I was a kid who made little Gundam models. But...
They are all Transformers.
Oh, cool.
All Transformers.
Nice stuff. That is very cool. What else you got for me?
Okay, so this kind of leads into what you were just saying is, what exactly is your platform? What are your goals? What do you hope to achieve if you were elected to this position?
Sure. So I circulate something called the Bill of the People, which basically says that I want to reform campaign finance. And I know you're probably like, yawn. I get it. But the reason I say that is because all of the things that we're upset about are underpinned by the way that people are funded in Congress. And we've already talked about that, so I won't go at length. But, that's the underpinning number one. But there's also other things that can bring some of the wealth of the country back to the people, like universal health care. That's a really good example of some place that we could immediately change the financial circumstances of most of the country. There's a lot of people that go bankrupt every year. There's a lot of people that have bad credit because of medical bills, even if those medical bills can't be used when you're getting dead or things like that. The score that you have does. So if you're getting that negative impact, it's making you, not necessarily not be able to buy a house or get a loan, but it makes you have a higher rate. It makes it so that you are working a lot harder than somebody who maybe is in a situation where they didn't have that bad credit, So if you have generational wealth and your help from your parents enables you to have a better credit score than someone who doesn't, through nothing else other than that, you have a harder time owning a home, building wealth, doing those sorts of things.
Yep.
So, there's a lot that goes into healthcare. There's a lot that I have on the Bill of the People about going and getting the money that is in the British colonies, former British colonies that have now turned into tax havens for the wealthy. I talk about not allowing stock trades by people that are in Congress on the bill of the people. And I talk about making sure that people are there for the right reasons by not allowing them to take lobbying jobs afterwards or those sort of sweetheart deals. I don't want you to be able to do that for 10 years, a moratorium of 10 years after you decide to be in office. It should be service. It should be a bit of a sacrifice to be doing this. And if you're just getting a big sweetheart deal and a bunch of money from whatever corporations, you are just in a different category than you are needed to be in, represented to care about your neighborhood.
No, I completely and totally agree with some of those we've talked about. Well, maybe there absolutely needs to be term limits on Congress and Senate. It's one of those, okay, depending on how long the terms are. If it's 2 years, make it a total of 3 terms. If it's 4 years, make it a total of 2 terms. If it's anything longer than that, 1 term. If they don't have a term limit, let's cap it at 10 years because that is the maximum amount of time somebody could actually be president legally under our current laws. And that is if they take over shortly after the beginning of the 3rd year. So let's say Mr. Trump dies January 3rd and Mr. Vance takes over on the 4th. Well, that's 2 years. Plus, he can actually still run for 2 more terms.
No, and I mean, I've signed on to the U.S. term limits pledge that I will work towards that. That's in the bill of the people also. And really, I mean, if you are not, if you are running and you think that it's just you, that your movement is not strong enough to lose you, then you are not representing anybody. You're representing yourself. So we should be there based on the movement that is behind us, not being the type of person where you think you are the movement. Trump thinks he is the movement. He thinks that it's about him, right? God and then him. That's how he says he doesn't need international law. Everything can be decided in his own brain. And that's just wrong. You should be able to leave and your movement is just as strong as when you were there. That's when you know that you're in the right place. And that's why I know I'm in the right place, because when I go talk to the American people, when I knock on their door or I meet them in the grocery store or wherever I am, I get the same thing. I'm so sick and tired of these 2 parties running things and not listening to us. And the one thing they say, I just hope you can win. I just don't think you can win necessarily. And that's where we need to change that attitude. My district is
I hear that a lot because it's red versus blue, red or blue, red or blue. Well, what about the other color, white? You do know the flag has 3 colors, red, white, and blue. So you have your Republicans, it's red, your Democrats, it's blue. But what about the independents is white?
In my district, 37% are registered independents with no options for independence. Imagine that. So we're the biggest block, independents.
And I was doing a lot of research, especially about midterms, and came upon between 47 and 49% of Americans don't vote in the midterms for various different reasons. And a lot of it comes down to there's no candidates they like. There's not a single candidate value. They don't want to even vote for the lesser of all the evils. They just abstain.
You know how many people vote in the primary? It's disgusting how small of a population decides who the candidates are going to be for each of the parties. Because the people are just disengaged with them. And if you have 25 people, that's 14 Democrats and I think 9 Republicans, and then there's a Libertarian too. But when you have that many people running for things, that is just so wild to me. But I saw we got restricted.
Wow. Somebody reported you for things that some may find uncomfortable. Okay, we're going to continue going, letting you know it's restricted so we won't have as many people coming in. Consuming substances featured in this live could harm your health. Holy crap. So exactly who is reporting us for all this weird shit?
I'll tell you one thing that makes me laugh. You can say the N word on this platform, but you can't say the Z word, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh, just like we can't say the actual word for gardening or puff puff pass or various other things, but I can go through and see a woman's areolas, but I can't show my shoulder.
I didn't mean to hit that. I'm just a real person, and this is just the way it is on the streets. And so it's just funny, this platform, the way they sort of
Oh, I've watched people roll blunts and smoke them on this platform. Nothing. 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 Yeah. So instead of just moving along, people have to report and make trouble for everybody else. Because God forbid anybody is trying to have a conversation and try to start change. Why are people so goddamn afraid of change? Especially when it's change for the right reasons in the right direction. You'd rather stay under the thumb of some orange tyrant rather than go for change and actually have a country that supports us, the people?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, I don't mean to knock both sides, but I do. I was in Kentucky this week, and that's a state that has a lot of Democratic representation. Obviously, Andy Beshear is the governor there. And I was just talking with the people there, and they said 25% of the state is on welfare.
Yeah.
And, you know, that just shows that it isn't like just a Republican problem or something like that. It isn't one party. We have a systematic issue that is causing us to not be represented as well. So
no, and that's just it. Is everything comes to systemic issues. If you go back and start looking and just look at what they're trying to undo. Thank you for the hearts to him, IPAC. It's one of those, they're trying to set us back into the 1800s. Just look at what they're doing to women. I was so excited when I heard Indiana did a good thing for once. Oh my God, goodness, and Indiana's fantastic. There's a judge who put a permanent injunction on the total abortion ban in Indiana, stating that a fringe group of religious fanatics should not be able to dictate what people can and cannot do with their body. Thank you! A judge in Indiana actually had two cells to rub together.
No, I mean,
Sorry.
my mom is a conservative at the end of the day, back in the day. And she used to work for the Republican governor of Iowa, you know, so not like just a bleeding heart blue or whatever you want to say. And she is just a feminist still. You know what I mean? Like, she believes in fiscal responsibility, but she believes in women being able to have careers. She always made sure that when I was a kid, my sister and I had the same opportunities and stuff like that. And now she is super worried about the SAVE Act that's out there, causing women who have not gotten updated legal documents, like updated birth certificate after getting married. That will disenfranchise so many women, that act. And they're trying to make it sound like it is something, you know, that's going to increase the security of our elections, which is already, we have decentralized federal elections that make it so that, you know, there's a lot of the ability for the communities to ensure that their people are really registered to vote. Like, we already have this, right? When I go vote, I can't not take it. I got to do something to be able to do that. And so they're making a problem where it doesn't exist, framing it like it's something patriotic, and then really doing something underhanded to disenfranchise voters on the back end. And this is not new. They've been doing disenfranchisement of voters forever. But that is why I'm so upset with the Democrats. When they were in with Biden, they could have worked harder, I think, to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And that would have saved a lot of the things that we really cherished for decades from the civil rights movement, and put them back into place so that the states like North Carolina or the states like Mississippi that have a history of discriminating against Black Americans and other Americans, so that those people would have to be federally viewed for their election practices. It's super important. And the fact that they didn't get that done is why I don't feel represented in either party right now. You know, those things need to get done. And if they're not willing to do it, I will do it. Or our independent candidate network, the 19 of us that have come together, you know, we will talk to ourselves about our neighbors, what we're all feeling, and make decisions. We will not be subject to whatever backers want, whatever the Heritage Foundation dumps money on. That's not going to be the way we make our decisions. So.
Good, because that cannot be the way we go anymore. And I think it's funny because election security measures is actually one of the topics I wanted to bring up, because they're restricting the voting centers, the HCR 2001 and the SCR 1001, plus the SAVE Act possible implementation of how it would affect people there. Because I know they voted to implement the SAVE Act in Indiana.
Yep.
They did. And it's brutal because, that's not good. That's not good. I was somebody who, both times I got married, I opted not to change my legal name. I am one of the few women I know who does not have to jump through hoops in order to get things done. And then the candidate I had last week, Ethan, he actually has to go through and get his stuff updated because he changed his last name. So it's not just affecting women, it is going to affect some men too who hyphenated their last name, because I promise you, their birth certificates don't reflect that.
Yep, and they know that, they wouldn't be doing it if they didn't know that it helped their party more. Just like the gerrymandering, just like all these little tricks they want to play, and moving up. In my district, they moved up the deadline to try to shake off some of the other candidates by 2 weeks. It's a big
You were talking about that when you were in my live.
No, I had March 23rd, and that I'll just plug. If any of you can help me get signatures right now, that's what I need. I'm within 200. I really do need help. So.
That was on the list as well as talking to you about the ballot petition signatures. Where's the link? What do we need to do to help you to get on that ballot?
Very easy.
Like, I know that's one of the number one things we can do to help you, is just to get you to that point.
Yeah, because they've rigged the system in every state in different ways against independents from being able to run. Some states are better than others, but with us, the way you can help us is by going to the eQual website, which is a really neat, unique, secure way for people in Arizona to decide and have a contribution to who is on their ballot. And so that's what the main thing is for the next 2 weeks for me, is getting people to sign that. You can go to christopherforcongress.org and it'll prompt you to do that. You need to be an independent or nonpartisan voter to be able to do it for me. And so you can switch it in 2 seconds. Just Google service Arizona voter registration. You can always switch back if you want to vote in a different primary later or things like that. But that's the way to really help me. And like I say, I'm within 200. So everyone that does that, it really, really helps me, especially over the next 2 weeks while I'm doing it.
So what I'll probably end up doing is getting it from you so I can post it along with some more videos, just because I'm going to end up taking clips from this one and posting them. Same with Ethan's, and I will absolutely be able to link those things and make sure that we can get them out to as many people as possible.
Yeah, that's just I put it in there. It's just my website, but when you go there, it'll have a link to take you to sign the ballot petition. So thank you for bringing that up too. I appreciate it.
I'm writing that down so I don't forget. Yeah. This is what I mean when I ask people, what can we do to help? Outside of donating money, what can we do to help you? And this is going to be I know it's one of the top ones, is just getting you on the ballot. Once we get you on the ballot, we can go from there. But we got to get you there first.
Yeah, first that, but then after that, I really want to create like a Mamdani effect. And what he had going for him more than anything else was a huge base of volunteers. And those tens of thousands of people made him win. It wasn't him. It's not that he's good looking. It's not that, he had the right donor. It was the people that coming together and walking across New York and helping people understand that this guy cares about you and he wants to make a difference and he's not bought and paid for.
Yeah. And that's what we're seeing more and more, is we're seeing more seats flip to those types of people, because it's very, very telling that, oh, what do you mean that they won because of the amount of volunteers they had? And that's what people don't understand, is you don't actually have to donate money to a lot of campaigns to make a difference. Volunteering your time, or even doing what I'm doing, have an interview with them, have them on for an hour or two, have a conversation, post the clips, and then have them on again in a few weeks. That way every 5-6 weeks we have you on and we touch base on what's going on, how it's progressing, more things that are going on that you have opinions on, so that way we can stay on top of it and make sure that you are actually getting out to everybody you need to get to.
Yep, 100%.
So I know we were talking about country over party, independent candidates versus Democrats and Republicans, so we kind of touched base on that. And then I know you started it, but the war on Iran,
And so
you want to know something I was reading, and I found out that Trump bypassed Congress to sell Israel 20,000 bombs, and that included 12,100-pound bombs, and all of it together, just those alone, was worth $650 million.
And you just think about that we are making weapons and they cost so much money that we could. And then those weapons we know ahead of time are being dropped on children. And I mean, I just don't think there's a number of children that is acceptable to kill for any terror. I just don't. I don't believe that.
You want to know the acceptable number of children to kill? 0. Period. 0.
But they could be very.
But that's just my opinion.
And instead, what we've seen. Your kids will read about what we've done. And they implemented a system that uses drones, that uses warcraft, airplanes that have the capability to do the type of damage that we saw, like in Iran when they bombed those bunkers and things like that. I mean, they really have a level of weaponry that we've never seen on this planet before.
Right.
And they made a system that was powered by AI. That's like why Anthropic was real mad at the Pentagon recently, because they didn't want them to take out human controls over their systems. So in Israel, they don't care about that. And they made a standard that you could kill 50 people to get one senior Hamas person. That's just what they think it's Hamas. And they used social media and other ways to look through people's information with facial recognition from those drones and decide, okay, this person is likely whatever percentage of Hamas. So we're going to order a strike. Some general is going to tacitly sign off of it. And then not only do they get that guy, whoever he was, but then they get his building. Entire families were erased like that. That's why we see a moonscape in Gaza, because they basically played the game. There was this game I played when I was a kid where you'd shoot rockets and eventually it would destroy the entire city. And
my friends and I, when we were kids, my mom would let us use little, M18s, and we would play some, historical wars. And I know well aware what the ground looks like after you use some of those. Oh, look, all the craters.
All the stuff we said about human rights and, not using white phosphorus and things like this, it's all being broken by Israel. They don't have any regard for international law, just like the president. And it's not American values. It's not what all of us believe in. And now that we have social media, we can see better at what they're doing. And it's not just that. It's not just the destruction. I want you guys to understand that what goes on in Palestine is racism to an extent that they never saw in South Africa and they never saw in the American South or anywhere else in America. I mean, this type of stuff, I watched them shoot a kid in the back, walk over to him, drop a stone next to his body, and take a picture in the West Bank, not in Gaza. I watched videos where you can see the villages in Ramallah, where my family is from, and all of the places in Ramallah have water tanks on top of the roofs. They don't have that in Israel. Do you know why they do that?
Why?
They do that because Israel decides when the water is on in Ramallah. So they turn off the water sometimes. And when the water's off, you can't get water unless there's a water tank on top of your building. And if you go to a restaurant and you want to wash your hands, you can't wash your hands because the water's off. And they'll just shrug and say, this is the way it is. So the insidiousness, the level of ridiculousness that they have taken to be able to displace people, which is really part of genocide. They're pushing people out of this land. They want people to be so uncomfortable and so upset that they aren't able to live there anymore. And that is this mission that they've had over decades and decades. It's not just started in the last couple of years. I know a lot of people have sort of started learning about this in the last couple of years, but really this stuff is very, very old. I was at a conference for the Ramallah Club here in America, which is the largest club of Palestinians for the American Federation of Ramallah Palestine here in America. And they were talking about protecting against settlers and other Z words going and trying to buy just one share. Maybe you have 20 shares for a property of ownership, buy one share, and then they would take that and go to the Israeli courts and try to use lawfare to be able to take that property fully. And there's all sorts of rules about if you are not in your house for long enough, somebody can just go take your property without any other justification. It's just sort of like extreme squatting. I don't know if you know that.
I know what squatting is. But yeah, that's to the extreme.
Extreme squatting, that's what the settlers do. And again, it's all designed, like they love it when there is intractability, like when there's no set rules, they can just move the line a little bit and take a little bit more territory. And so all these things, those are the things that the civil rights movement fought against. Those are the things that the Revolutionary War fought against. Did you know that in Israel, when the soldiers, the Israeli offense, I always call them the IOF forces, go into the Palestinian areas, they can just take your house, which is called quartering, right? They can just bust in, set up their equipment for whatever reason. They don't really have to have a good reason. That's literally the exact thing that the founders did not want to occur. Why we have amendments that we have in our Bill of Rights to stop soldiers from being able to quarter in your house. They do that to them on a regular basis. They did it to people with my exact last name that live in Ramallah. And they harassed them while they were there. They stole their stuff. They pushed them around in the middle of the night. And that's the kind of thing that our money and our administration is supporting right now.
It's wrong, to put it plainly. To put it the most simple way we can say it, it's just not right. It's wrong. And I have to turn to my fellow Americans and be like, how would you like it if that was your life? How would you like it if under Trump's dictatorship, that's what our lives become? Is at any point in time, we can have military forces bust into our house and say, this is now our property. Have a good day.
No, it's absolutely abhorrent. And I don't think I can find a single American that thinks that that's something that our foreign policy should be responsible for or endorsing. And meanwhile, our representative in Congress were signing the bombs. Both parties used pens, signed the bombs that we were going to drop on these kids. I wonder how many bombs were dropped like that killed children. And it just, that's, again, I don't feel represented right now. We got to have people in power that really use it with responsibility. So
yeah,
that's what I want to say.
And that's just it is. There's so many people because it's one of those absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's the reason why we are supposed to have checks and balances. And then when Congress goes, oh, we voted to give Trump all of our powers, so it's not our problem anymore. Mofos, it is 100% your problem. You are the problem. Take your power back.
Amazing that you use that quote. I love that quote. In my family, we married into the British royalty, like the Lords. Just won my
descended from Henry VIII and one of his maids.
Oh, it's so funny, but yeah, Lord Acton.
Legitimately, I'm like, oh, I'm a Tudor. That's not great. I don't want that. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just dying there for 1 second. But yeah, no, Lord Acton married my mom's aunt Patricia, and they're the family, the Lord family that is attributed with that quote about absolute power corrupting absolutely. And that's what we're seeing. That's where it is, because people get in these positions and there's all this money running around, and maybe you can't get everything on your agenda done, and then it just turns into corruption. Corruption is legalized in America right now, and that's why you're seeing so many people like me running all over the place.
The thing is, if we look back, it's been legalized for longer than a lot of us think. Think Reagan. Think before then. Think Nixon. Think before then. Think back in the 1920s, and that's where it started.
Yeah. No, we created the entire SEC and all the laws. Like, I studied finance and investments. So all those things came about during the Great Depression, because the practices during the Great Depression, much like 2008, were corrupt. They were not, based on real math that was going to work out for everybody. They bundled a bunch of loans in 2008, and caused a financial crisis. Well, back in the 30s, people were running around selling stocks to companies that didn't existed, and medicines that really didn't do anything for, stuff like that. So they came up with all these laws to stop them. And now that we're in a different era, this digital era that we're in, we need to do that again. We need to have laws that are put in place to protect workers, to need a working revolution in this country direly. I represent like a 4-day work week, things like that. And it's because we need all those things to be in there, and we'll just never get it from the people that are incentivized for the status quo like we have right now.
And genuinely, the best thing for the human body, medical degree, okay, medical field, psychology, business management, 3 degrees. Genuinely, the best thing for a human body is to only work 32 hours a week, so 4 days, 8 hours, nothing more than that. Because anything more than that actually starts to put you past a certain edge where your brain and your body are not capable of handling it. Why? Because it's a different world than we lived in 100 years ago. 100 years ago, 200 years ago, a lot of us were farmers. We were this, we were that. We didn't sit in front of a computer every day, okay? Sitting in front of a computer and being immobile is one of the worst things we can do for our bodies. There are so many people who have health issues just because of that. So if we were able to get them, incentivize them to be more active during their workday. So every 15 minutes, hey, you get up, or not every 15 minutes, every 2 hours, you take 15 minutes and you go stretch. Every hour, get up for 5 minutes, move around, stretch. That's what you need to be doing in order to stay on top of your body if you're sitting down all day.
Yep.
Otherwise, guess what? You just shorten your lifespan by 20 years.
Yeah, no, sitting is the new smoking. And that too, like I have a full-time job, like I have benefits, and I can't afford healthcare. Like, I mean, when I looked up, because I'm not super crazy, I think I'm at least pretty sane. I'm a little weird, but I'm definitely nerdy. I'm sorry. But yes.
I have a Legend of Zelda tattoo, okay? Nerddom, you're right. It's nerd talk, okay? You're in the right place.
But I would just say, I mean, while that's the case, like I looked into therapy, right? I just wanted to see, because it's nice to have somebody objective to talk to.
Right.
And so I was looking into it, and my deductible, guess what my deductible is from therapy?
$220.
$6,000. So
$6,000?
So yeah, I think they told me the first 3,000 is all me, and then after that I pay like 25% or 75%. It might have been 75%. It was a lot. And so literally, like, getting therapy would have been all out of my pocket, and it was going to be like $1,700 a year, and that was only meeting once a month, which is really insufficient for therapy.
Right.
So it's like I can't do that, And I have a house, like I have a car, I'm not doing fine, but there's no way I can just add $2,000 to my month or my yearly output that I'm doing for care that arguably like lots of us need, right? Like that would help a lot of us. Or what about the new thing with all the weight loss medication? I mean, a lot of people need that. Like, they will have better lives. They will live better with that, regardless of, I don't like taking medicine, but at the end of the day, like, it helped me lose a lot of weight. And then I had to stop because my payments went up from, it was like $200 a month, which was already a lot, to $700 a month.
I take 11 prescription medications every day. My monthly amount used to be about $48. Loved doggy. I got 3 kitties. Now, he just went and picked up some of my, it was $114 for like 4 of my meds.
That's just crazy,
And it's like, okay, because we can afford that. I can afford $400 a month for my meds now.
No, it's just wild. And then, by the way, meanwhile, they have plenty to spend on weapons. They have plenty to spend on tax breaks and subsidies for the wealthy or industries that they destroy on accident.
Want to know what industry they're destroying, and it sucks? The massage and chiropractic industries. Why? Because most insurance companies aren't covering those anymore. That changed as of the first of this year, thanks to the Trump administration and RFK.
I just know so many people that rely on that type of care too, just to get through the day, and especially with the sitting, that's something.
I have lateral culmination scoliosis, fibromyalgia, osteospinal stenosis, psoriatic arthritis. I've had neck surgery twice. I have spinal column narrowing, spinal bulging. I have issues, and I can't go see a massage therapist, and I am a massage therapist.
That's incredible. No, and I mean, we're not even touching on like elder care, where some of that therapy is really important. They have no plan for that. They have no solution to the mess that is. And I don't know if people realize like how much you pay when you're in that type of care, the long-term care, which is like when you need somebody in assisted living, or maybe you need home health care. But when I was a younger man, I sold it, long-term care insurance. And 10 years ago,
I get it.
10 years ago, we were basing our long-term care insurance policies off of $7,600 a month.
Yeah.
That's what it costs to live in assisted living if you have elderly people in your life. And that's why so many elderly people end up living with their families or paying down all of their assets and then being forced to be on Medicaid and transported all over the state and dying without people that they love close to them. So they don't even, I mean, there's no plan. You ask your representatives about that. They have no conception of that problem in American lives. And so many people are taking care of their older generation now. That just shows right there, right? Like, why don't we have money for that? Why are we not doing better by the people that have worked entire careers their whole life and now they are being harvested at the end for their money? And it's really not the, even the companies or the employees, like they're just trying to do their best by them, but they're so busy and they're so strapped because they can't hire people that they sometimes, like, people go without bathing, they go without food. I used to do autopsies for the state of Iowa when I was younger too. And
I worked in a morgue when I was in college, and I helped with the autopsies.
oh, wow. It's an interesting job.
It's very interesting, and I'll just say it's very interesting.
I remember, I got to tell you this about this case. We had this one lady that was in that situation. She really needed a lot of help to be able to even just move around. And her family couldn't get there very often. And she ended up where she had an ulcer on her rear end, kind of like above her hip bone, and made it so that you could see the hip bone through the skin.
Yep.
And she passed away. But, she died alone. She died in pain. And there was nobody that could help her. And, if she had had care, it would not have been that way. People could have helped move her around. Because people probably don't realize you can get bed sores like that just if mobilized. So people have to move you. Because if you're asleep, you actually move around and jostle around to prevent that from happening.
Yep. Oh, I know. I toss and turn, and we have pillows so I can prop, because I'm a turner. He turns 3 times in his sleep. But yeah, it's one of those where, so I worked in assisted living facility in high school. I volunteered there on the weekends. And so, yeah, one of my jobs was to help them move the elderly patients so they could, talk to them and keep them up. And while they were actually wiping the back and moving them around and helping to get them into chairs so that they didn't get those sores. I learned at 15 exactly what happens if you don't move around, if you're immobile. And Rock, he brought up a good one, because I saw that earlier. This is the reason why I love Bernie, love him. Basically the eat the rich tax, where putting in a bill where if you earn over $1 billion, there's a 5% tax on everything you earn. That money, 5% on over $1 billion. I'm sorry, if you earn $1 billion, you can't spend that money in 10 lifetimes. And if you can, holy crap, what are you buying?
No, I mean, we're approaching trillionaires now. And meanwhile, I drive on Thomas Road here in Phoenix, and every intersection there are people with signs that, frankly, a lot of them don't even look like they're destined. They look like normal people, and they just are out of a job or whatever, and this is the only option they have. And you can just
they're putting in applications and job hunting.
Yeah, no, and how are you supposed to do that? Like, I talked to this guy. I was in Kentucky this week, and he was on the street, and this guy was not on drugs or anything. I mean, this was a totally normal dude. Came up to me, asked for money. I was just talking to him afterwards, and he's like, I can get food anywhere. I can go anywhere. There's food banks. There's all these things. I just don't have a place to stay. So what ends up happening is I walk around all night. It's dangerous. I can get shot. And, he really hurt my heart. Like, I was just like, man, like, this is a guy that clearly is fine, like, could be working, could be doing stuff. And he just doesn't have any options in this country that we call the greatest country in the world. It's not when we have 1 million people on the street. I mean, it's wrong. So.
Right. And then making homelessness illegal. So basically they're criminalizing homelessness in order to put them into private prisons where they make money off of them.
Yeah, no, and then they're doing that to the immigrant community as well, that we depend on. This country has thrived off of immigrants our whole existence. Lots of our most famous people are married to immigrants. We know that, but also
frankly, I'm of the opinion as unless you can prove you have indigenous blood, congratulations, you're born from immigrants.
Yeah, It's just one of those. I mean, my dad's family came in the Nakba after that in 1948, but my mom's family came through Ellis Island, Lebanese immigrants just looking for a better life. They got money from the government. This is always funny. They got money from the government to move to the Midwest. They spent time walking across the state selling Oriental rugs. They had a grocery store. But 70 to 80 years later, no, really, it's 90 years later, my Aunt Helen was in a position that she was able to donate some buildings, actual buildings, to the St. Luke's Hospital in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and some other, like the YMCA. She donated a Women's Children's Center. But just look at that, 100-year turnaround, not even. And we were so contributing back that, I mean, the Nassif Heart Center in Cedar Rapids saves lives every day.
Right.
And that is named after people in my family. And so that just shows you how quickly the turnaround can be to giving back to our communities here. So we should not put up our nose at immigrants. We should not send the Statue of Liberty back to France, which I've seen suggested, and I've suggested just in spite. We shouldn't do that. I mean, it's a net benefit to the country. They commit less crimes, according to studies, even by Republican.
No, and it's been proven like across the years for like since the 90s at least, that immigrants commit significantly less crimes than actual legal born U.S. citizens.
It's a privilege to be here, and they know it better than almost anybody.
My great grandparents, and I actually have the paperwork over there, they immigrated from Italy back in the early 1900s.
If you're not Native American, you are an immigrant.
I am also 1% Native American, so I can stay. I have the blood test to prove it.
Well, we should all be able to stay, but you know, the reservations right now are not okay. Like when you go up there and you go shopping, you do not have the same selection as you have here in Phoenix. And I mean, maybe you wouldn't normally have that, but you just have Walmart. That's what's up there. They use this flour called Bluebird flour, which they use to make their delicious fry bread. You should all try that if you've not tried fry bread. And make sure it's authentic because it tastes different if it's authentic.
Yeah.
But
It's so much better if it's authentic.
yeah, my point is that wheat, that flour is the whitest, bleached, most processed flour you could put your hands on. And then they get donations all the time up there. And it is basically like boxed, canned stuff with lots of salt and not very much nutritional value. And so we have sequestered these people onto reservations and kept for a lot of investment from them and not giving them broadband internet and things like that. And, you know, the problems in the country are wide. There's a variety of them. And it all boils down to not being represented enough. That's what's happening here, and not having leadership that cares about us enough to do the right thing as opposed to do the corrupt thing. So all that is just to say that, you know, we need to support the people in this country, not just the businesses in this country.
And that's where we dial back from is, okay, great. I'm a business owner. I'm a small business owner. Okay. I work part-time for a chiropractor. I have a mobile massage business where I go to people's houses from the table, or I go to chair events, which I just booked my 8th multi-day of today for this year. I'm excited. Listen, it's been 4 years and it's taking off. Okay. But that's just it, is we have a lot of small business owners that are being overshadowed by these big corporations and franchises to the point where nobody knows about my business or the fact that I actually charge comparative prices to all of the spas around here.
Yeah, I mean,
and you're going to get a better service from me for paying $10 more.
Business owners are made up of people, of citizens. So they don't need to have undue influence just because they were really successful and then they get money as political will, so they get extra votes. Like, no, Elon Musk should not get more votes than you. You should each be getting the same amount of votes, and he can, you know, be rich without being a trillionaire. That's just all there is to it. And I'm saying that as somebody, in the very beginning, I was a big fan of his. And I am just so sad at the fall that he has taken. And I just don't understand how that happened. I'm very, very confused by it. But when I saw him showing up to nonpartisan races with giant clearinghouse checks for $1 million to rigged lotteries that they ran, I mean, it just is the least American thing I could possibly think of.
And that's the thing where if you search hard enough, you can actually find the clip from September where Elon was talking about how they rigged the election machines and how you should check any state with any county that has less than 50 votes for Harris, because those are the ones they changed. Those are the ones they messed with. You can still find it if you go into DuckDuckGo. It's just like page 1,000 and something now. But it's one of those, like, we know for a fact that that election didn't turn out the way it should have. Even with a third of the population abstaining, 90 million people abstained.
Oh, I know. I mean, they weren't. I think the people abstained in large part due to the genocide. I really believe that. I mean, I know for a fact, like just talking this weekend with a lot of people from Michigan, that was the sentiment that they felt, that if Kamala had come out strong against what was happening in Gaza, then there would have been a different outcome in that
Yeah,
election.
and they would have voted for her, but she didn't have a strong enough stance.
The worst part is they haven't learned their lesson. And I know exactly why, because when you look up APAC Tracker, which is, everybody go check out APAC Tracker, there's only one representative in Arizona that doesn't take APAC money, and that's Adelaide Grijalva. I just met her a few minutes ago. That was why I was late.
That's the AIPAC.
So AIPAC, yes, that is, you check out that tracker and it'll show you how much money people have taken. And it is very disturbing to see.
So I was just looking at it earlier and going through their website and everything they have, and I'm like, I get icky feelings from this. Like, this is icky feeling. It's an icky feeling website.
Every single one of
I'm going to jail.
the people in Arizona who represents us in Congress has taken more than my salary in those donations just from that entity, and many of them have taken 4x, 5x, 20x from them compared to my salary. Imagine that. How are you supposed to compete with that?
You can't.
Even if we just assume it's a perfect world and that Israel's, let's say they're a humanitarian organization, like just pretend, right?
Pretend for a minute.
They did not have carte blanche. If they do something wrong, they should be stopped. If they do good things, great, let's celebrate. I'm all for people living together, working together, selling together. Like, everybody should be incentivized for peace. But when you are dumping money like that, it gives you the ability to be corrupt. You can say that we're going to turn Gaza into a parking lot, and people will still be cheering for you and all that, because they're inundated with tens of millions of dollars on TikTok to convince children that this is okay.
Yeah, this is what we really want for our country. Of course they're going to support it. They're getting paid to. And that's the thing with some of these influencers on here, where you have to keep in mind that some of them are being paid by outside sources to push a certain type of agenda because they have enough backing, they have enough viewers, they have enough followers that who will believe them.
I even saw, and I really like him for what he says, but I saw like an article that was talking about how James Tellerico took $59,000 from Miriam Adelson, who, if anybody doesn't know, she was the spouse that inherited the wealth from Fox News and all that kind of stuff. And I just want to ask, I'd love to ask him what that's for. Like, what do you have something now that you have to do in this term if you get elected to Senate that it's holding over your head? Like, I need to know that, bud, because you can say all the right things and then you get to Congress and your mouth shuts about a genocide, and I have a problem with that. So I need to know what it's for. So.
It's one of those, okay, so what promises did you make? Like, what promises did you make?
I wanted to win, but I really need to know what promise he made for that. So that's a good way to put it.
Because, listen, when you take money like that, there is a promise on the table. You are agreeing to do something. So what did you promise to do? How much are we going to hate you for it?
Oh, I mean, how many kids have to die because of that $59,000? I just don't know. So,
and that's the scary part. That's the scary part, is what did you promise and what's going to happen?
And maybe it was that Jasmine Crockett didn't promise it. Was that why? Or did she take money too? I don't know. Maybe there wasn't even a chance for a real representation in that situation. But I want to believe in them. I like when I hear their things, and especially like when I hear them compared to the Republicans. Most of the time, I'm like, yep, like I'm not gonna not be over there. But some of the Republicans now, even too, like Marjorie Taylor Greene or what's his face, Tucker Carlson, like Candace Owens, like they're speaking up, and I'm not the type of person where just because I disagreed with you in the past, even vehemently like them, But if you're willing to tell the truth, I will listen to you. I met Thomas Massey earlier this week when I was in Kentucky, and I just said thank you for telling the truth and keep telling the truth. That's what I wanted.
He needs to pull the gun on the files and release what he knows, because we need to know that shit. And that's probably my only point of contention with him at this point is, listen, dude, they're not releasing the names. We need to know the names. We need to hold these people accountable, period.
Yeah, all that information should be immediately, transparently public. It should be gone through, like if we had a real Justice Department, they would go through it. They would figure out where there's credible information, and then they would act on it. And literally all of the people that we find credible information about, and they go through the process, and we find out they were responsible for some of this trafficking, and there's just bound to be people that are responsible for it, partook in it, profited off of it, covered it up. Anybody that did any of those things, out of government, not even you shouldn't wait. Like, we shouldn't wait for the.
No, they should be arrested and held in jail while they're waiting processing. Like, yeah.
No, it's a total travesty that people, you could get arrested for going in and stealing a pack of gum from a 7-Eleven, and you're not getting the treatment that these guys get. You're not getting flown out of the country if you're a dual Israeli citizen and you are part of this, and we figure it out, and all of a sudden you're gone in the middle of the night. What? Like, if I go and I rob a store, no one's flying me to Mexico in the middle of the night. No one's like getting me a pass where I don't even get arrested, and my lawyers just handle everything for a year, and then after a year, really, there's no punishment for it. I mean,
I have enough money that I can just pay to have it go away.
I'm in jail, so my wife shows up with millions of dollars, and all of a sudden I'm released because I donated to your what do they call it, the transition team or something like that.
Yeah. And it's crazy because, and unfortunately, that's the way our world has gone, and this is how capitalism has corrupted us. Is if you have enough money, and there's a lot of songs that talk about this. If you have enough money, you can literally pay to have things go away. But if you were caught smoking cocaine, you couldn't even get a job at McDonald's, but you could become mayor of a city.
You can't even vote in a lot of places.
Yeah, and that's just it. Is okay. Perfect example is. There's a man who has 34 felonies. He's not allowed to own a gun, but they gave him nuclear war codes.
That's probably why he wants to take it over, because he doesn't like not being able to go there.
Right? And it's one of those like, hey guys, when we finally get somebody new in the office, can we like pass a really simple law that says you cannot have any felonies or be charged for XYZ and be able to drive the presidency? That would be great.
Common sense could do, I think.
Here's the thing. We all thought common sense was already implied in, well, somebody who has felonies wouldn't be elected. Guess what? Common sense is so common, honey.
And then he was complaining about all the lawfare, and then he just went and did lawfare. Like, literally, like, he got in there, and I think that's probably why Biden felt the need to pardon so many people like it were in his administration and attack Trump, because he just knew. He just knew this was what was going to go down, and, now we're seeing it for real. It's worse than even anybody thought, because there's nobody holding him back. It's all just yes people up there. So.
Because here's the thing is, and I'll quote him, he doesn't need international law. He has his own moral sense of conduct. Mind you, when your moral sense of conduct tells you to go nuke another part of the human race, you don't have a moral sense of conduct.
No, and I think we just, I don't know. It's so upsetting for a person that grew up here with the ideals that we have in America. And that's what I feel like it's really important for young people to step up now, and especially like millennials, because we have the right value system, I think. And maybe like we didn't get all the information at the beginning. Like, they didn't tell us everything about Jim Crow, and they didn't tell us everything about what we're seeing in foreign policy or what we're seeing in.
But what they didn't plan on is our generation was the generation that existed between analog and digital. So we had the Gen X raising for the first few years, and then we had the Gen Z technology. So we are actually in that perfect place to know, yeah, we know the world we came from, and we know the world we're in now. Yep. And I agree. I think it's the Gen X, the millennials, the people who are 30 and older. It's our turn to start saying, hey, listen, we need to do the things, and we need to step up, because we cannot continue to let people who are in their 60s and older run this country, because they're literally running it into the ground. and all the people with it.
Yeah, no, and I think it's a situation like if you were going on a road trip with your elderly relative, you wouldn't let them drive. Like you would be like, "Hey, you're 80, I'm 38. Let me take over and handle this, and I have the reaction time. I have the, ability to stay awake and all that kind of stuff." And it's not to say anything bad about them, but we should use the best choice to lead us, the best person that can understand like this digital era that we're in and knows what internet privacy looks like. They don't know, they had hearings on it and they sounded so silly, like asking these dumb questions. And
I've listened to some of those hearings and just sitting going, oh God, I can't not do it anymore. I think I just dropped an IQ point.
no, it's ridiculous. And then like in Europe, like when you go there, there are internet privacy laws that prevent really bad stuff, harassment from happening on the internet. There was recently a big row about being able to use AI to make naked pictures of people and stuff like that. There's some real damaging stuff that can occur if we don't have internet privacy laws like we don't right now here in this country, and people trade on.
Fakes are a thing. And when you have a deep fake going on, sometimes it's really hard to tell the difference between reality and the fact that it's AI.
Right.
And that's the scary part, is because we are walking into a world where AI is running so rampant and there are almost no laws regulating it.
Yeah, no, we need to take over the wheel, and we need to have people in power that can respond to those type of things and protect us from those type of things. So.
And then that is to tie back to the war in Iran and the fact that it's a holy war, our First Amendment, how it feels like they're trying to combine the Christian religion with our federal government. Yeah. And the First Amendment is about separation of church and state and how it should not, be merged. Read the writings of Thomas Jefferson. You'll understand exactly why they have the First Amendment. Is because they were trying to prevent a second Britain. They were trying to prevent a second, country where you had the king who was also ruled by the Pope because of religious doctrine. Instead, allow a country where people are allowed to choose whichever religion they want to be in. It's all good. Nobody else gives a damn as long as you're not infringing on somebody else's right to live and you're not hurting anyone or anything. Who cares? Who cares?
Right.
Now, when the Christian religion is the Crusades, the Spanish Inquisition, that they have a long history of doing things in the name of their God because it's for the right reasons. Me personally, former Christian, former Catholic, still actually believe in God and Christ. I keep being told I need to find Christ, and I'm like, you guys need to put a collar on him with like a GPS tracker thing. I know right where he is. His hand's right here. I don't know about you, but he's been guiding me a lot over the course of my life. And there's a lot of times where he'd be sitting there going, oh no, motherfucker, I'd be flipping that damn table. I don't know what you're talking about. This whole thing, he would have already flipped that table multiple times and probably bashed Mr. Trump over the head with it.
That's the best way to describe what I want to do is I want to flip tables. And my great grandmother was from Nazareth, which is pretty interesting. It shows you that Palestinians come from Jesus, and they uphold his values of nonviolence a lot of the time. I mean, I know there's violent people in Palestine. I'm not saying there's not, but
here's the thing. He promoted pacifism and using your words until the point you can't use your words anymore. And violence is the last possible resort. You try everything else before that.
And clearly in Iran, we did not do that. And now we're losing American soldiers as a result. There's claims that it's a lot more than 6 or 7. Like
it's in the hundreds.
There's contractors involved that aren't, the same. They won't report them the same as soldiers. Those are still Americans a lot of the time. And we don't know where this will end. We've started this thing off in a very chaotic way. And when we did that in Iraq, it lasted 20 years, and we spent so much treasure and so much blood on it, only to now really not have that much better of a situation over there. I mean, we got Osama bin Laden, and the Taliban still controls Afghanistan. So,
we really helped out there, let me tell you.
I just don't think we should make decisions for other countries about who they lead. We can pressure them. We can do things to try to get them to come into the economic sphere of the world, which I think is the right way to go, and try to promote democracy, but no regime changing, no imperialism by another name, no colonization, no leverage. That's what they're calling Venezuela right now, that we have leverage over them. No, you have a colony. You have people where you took their leader, you're holding him hostage, and now you're directing them to do things under the gunboat. We left this behind a long time ago, and people seem to agree, that we shouldn't do this to people. It's not what our values are about. And even after World War II, when we controlled a lot of territory all over the world, it was very short-lived because the soldiers and the people here at home protested so hard against it that they had to abandon all those things. And what they left are 800 military bases all over the world where it's quiet enough that they don't have to get that kind of backlash from the people. But now with social media, the people can see. And so you're going to see those demonstrations. That's why the No Kings rallies have been the biggest demonstrations ever, because
the next one is on March 28th.
Yes, the sleeping giant has awoken to the things that were being done with the giant's toys, and the things that were being done with all of the military industrial complexes, fun bells and whistles that they have created. And we're not for it, and we want that money to come back here. And it's very simple. We don't have to even debate about it a lot, I don't think. But everybody in this room needs to go find the people in your area that are true representatives, that aren't taking dark money, and try to help them go forward.
Well, and this is why I'm telling people, if you know somebody in your area that is just like that, this grassroots, that is not taking corporate money, that is really there it's a representative for the constituents, give me their information. I'll get them on. I want to have them on because those are the kind of people I'm trying to get out there. I'm trying to have more awareness about. I'm trying to help them reach as many people. And okay, sure, I might only have 12,000 viewers or 12,000 followers. But you know what? That might be a small platform, but it's still large enough to make an impact. Any platform is large enough to make an impact if you want it to.
You're right. I mean, they had 90,000 volunteers in New York, but that's New York. I think I could do it with a lot less people than that. And if I don't need money, I'm not going to ask for it.
And that's exactly how it should be. Is if you're at the point where you can do everything with just volunteer support and you don't have to invest a whole lot of cash, great. Perfect. That's exactly how it should be, because that means you have enough people backing you that you don't have to worry about having that corporate influence. You don't have to worry about having that financial influence, because I know you and I were saying something about the Kentucky meeting and about how they were talking about taking money out of politics, which yes.
I think thinks that, but they feel like Galaxy 12 down there says there's nothing we can do. They run everything. And he's specifically talking about Israel, but really that's everybody. I mean, the oil companies, the Elon Musks of the world, Jeff Bezos. I mean, now those guys control our not just the new media, but Washington Post, and they bought TikTok. They are trying to pull the reins because they know everybody can see their ass now. And I think that we are all just like, nope, we don't want to get mooned. We're going to pick somebody else. And I hope it happens. I hope that I can give people an unfunded option that they can vote for here in Scottsdale and Paradise Valley and Fountain Hills and all these places. And I hope we do that all over the country, because I believe in this country. I think we can fix it. I know a lot of people think it needs to be torn down, but I think that we can fix it, that we don't have to do, what Luigi did in New York. Like, that is the wrong way to do it. I don't think, I understand how bad healthcare is in this country, but nobody deserves to lose their dad. I don't care. I don't care if they're rich. They don't deserve to lose that family. Instead, I would much rather that instead of a Ferrari, the guy drives a Mercedes. Big deal. Is that not?
Oh my good Lord. Instead of a Lamborghini, you have a Mercedes. Gasp. It's the end of the world. You don't have a $150,000 car. You have to suffer in a $100,000 car. Oh my God. Yeah, and it's exactly there. I understand why Luigi did it. I understand why anyone would for any type of healthcare CEO or executive. I really do. Do I say it right? No, I don't condone it. Just like I think that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. He was murdered. He was murdered to be a martyr for their cause.
I feel bad for his children.
His children, not his wife, but his children. God, I feel horrible for them.
But you look at, he's just one guy. And I was really pretty upset about Nancy Guthrie here in Arizona. Again, just one person. And I think that we just all have to realize, like, it wasn't just them. Like, there's been a lot of black men that have been found just hanging in the South, and even in New York and places like that over the last, year, over the last 10 years. And
it's more and more around Georgia and Atlanta. I was just reading an article where last week another young man, 21-year-old college student, was found hanging from a tree, and he did not do that to himself.
Well, and that Kash Patel is not going to investigate it. I mean, I went in October to Mississippi to see the tree that was alleged that Trey had hung himself from. And I can just tell you, I posted about it. I can tell you for sure that he did not climb that. I'm an autopsy technician. I did hangings all the time.
Oh, yeah. I can tell you exactly looking at that. Oh, they did not do that to themselves. They did not do that to themselves.
For them to do that. There was another guy, Roosevelt Champion III, another guy that passed away where they found him in a barn that he didn't own hanging, and they brushed over it. One press release about how there weren't any signs of foul play, and it's gone, and they don't look up anything anymore. So, Charlie or one person, like, we should care about everybody. Like, and shouldn't condone any political violence or anything in this country. We don't need it. We don't need political violence to.
Well, what got me is, okay, so when Charlie died, they flew the thing at half mast. But when this representative who was murdered a few weeks later in front of her own home, they did nothing. Not a damn thing.
Her husband, her dog, I think, Minnesota, if that's who we're talking about, I believe is who we're talking about. And, I'm from Iowa. That's really close to home for me. Obviously, here in Arizona, we had Gabrielle Giffords get shot in an act of political violence a decade ago. It isn't American, and it isn't the way we should do it. And I think it happens because people are so frustrated by the lack of progress we've seen, not just in the last 20 years, like in the last 50. And I grew up, again, thinking that it was going to get better and that things were in control with good leadership. And I found out that wasn't the case. And now we all have to do something about it.
And that's where I was like a decade ago. I was like, oh, shit. Okay, so the world I live in is not the great one we were told it was in the 90s. Fuck, man, I actually have to get involved. I don't want to get involved. God, I told myself at 14 I'd never get involved. Well, here I am involved.
They're forcing our hand. They're forcing us to get in and to do this. And I think that when we all look back, if we have done as much as we can, even if we fail or something, but if we
even if you fail, that's okay. But you tried. You got up and you tried. You put in a good college effort. You tried, because 9 times out of 10, that's all we are trying to ask for from people. Is just get up and try.
And I know it's just a couple of us in here, but like, don't feel discouraged, guys. Like, I have a great time. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, the people that I knock on their door, like, I have great conversations. I always tell the guys in the room, if you're looking, like, a lot of guys, regardless of whatever you want to say or whatever, you're going out, you're trying to meet some women, okay? Or you're trying to meet your special other or your, man or whoever you're looking for.
You're finding your special person.
You'll find a special person at a campaign a lot of the time because you guys have shared values. You're out there putting yourself in a vulnerable place to try to do something good. That's a really good space. And I have tons, all the volunteers.
You know how many women are attracted to that? Like, oh, you are actually a halfway decent human being? Yeah. So really? Oh my God. Like, panties are off, okay?
I hate to be like, trying to use like sex to get people to come do campaigning, but really, like,
sometimes, you know what? If that's what it takes, sex sells. I mean, just look at all the campaigns they've used over the years.
Join us. Come out and party with us. I mean, that's what it's called, the party, right? Like, we're here, we're having a good time, we're talking about stuff that matters, and I think that's just a better space to be in than like watching that 11th show that you're binging and you spent all day in front of a screen and now you're in front of another screen. Get out of here. Get outside. Be like when
get outside, go get some sun. Touch grass, or in your state, touch rock. There was a lot of yards that were nothing but gravel.
The Xeriscape is what it's called. It's a place out here where we have great community. We just need to go out and immerse ourselves in it. And I feel it all the time. Like, all the running clubs all over the country are stacked right now. Everybody's going out to try to be in those if they can. And they want to get outside. They want to play pickleball. Like they want community. And it's sad because the way the parties are structured, like, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you go to like your Republican meeting or you go to your Democrat meeting in your area, they don't talk to each other. Like they don't party together. They don't get together for a picnic. And we would be so much better off if they did that stuff, because then you would see that you're all in it together. That's why all the low offices like city council or being a judge or being on school board are supposed to be nonpartisan. Like it's supposed to be the community that's making those decisions, not Turning Point, and that's what we're seeing now. Like if you drive around Phoenix, there are Turning Point signs printed out, brilliant, nice signs from billionaires everywhere that are telling us who to vote for and trying to make it so that we don't have any real representation, and that they just take a sheet of paper and they give it to them and they're like, hey, here's your talking points. Okay, you're going to go ahead and say this. I was at a Democrat meeting recently and we had state legislators there, and they said they can actually witness, they can watch people getting text messages from lobbyists and then running to the microphone to go say what the lobbyist had told them to say. It's just a sort of sorry state of affairs. I mean, really, like, I probably am not like the perfect guy like to run in this seat or anything like that. But I tell you what, I think I'm like head and shoulders above anybody else that's running or anybody that's in elected office. I mean, we just have such a bad lineup right now of people that are willing to compromise all their values and sit around in Washington dialing donors and asking for money instead of doing the job that people to put them there to do in the first place. So
yeah, it's one of those. It definitely feels like, and this is again politicians versus representatives. The politicians there are 100% there to line their pockets, not take care of the constituents. And unfortunately, that's where it's gotten. Is we have so many people who have just been bought and sold by all of these different corporations that, okay, who can we even trust? And that's part of it. Hi, Nithis, welcome in. Is finding representatives we can actually put our faith and trust in, because how do we know somebody's not just spinning a yarn for us and when they get in office, they're going to be totally different?
No, I know. And I mean, that's where I think term limits come in. And then also just the ability of people to get, the vote out for whoever they want. Like it shouldn't be predetermined by how much money you have, because the person with the most money is not always the person that has the best ideas. So
in fact, the person with the most money is not always the person that should be doing the job. Quite the opposite. They're usually not the person who should be doing the job.
Yeah, no, I mean, we have a real problem here. And for anybody that is listening, anybody that is out there, don't think it won't affect you. Because I know a lot of us think, oh, well, how's it going to affect me? I mean, I grew up the last 30 years watching people be disillusioned in politics. And, before it was sort of like, okay, what am I really, maybe it's not affecting me. But now, in Scottsdale, we had masked troops come into Zips and tear the place up. And there were all sorts of protests outside and stuff. That's in Scottsdale. That we can imagine what's happening in Oakland, what's happening in Yuma, or like the places that we don't see on the news all the time. There was just a story of a young man that was killed in Texas. We didn't even learn about it for 11 months. And now we find out that it was almost exactly the same situation as Renee Good, where they accused him of hitting somebody and they have no evidence. They've released no camera footage. All we have is the DHS under Kristi Noem's word that this happened. And now DHS.
This is what it was. And we all know that she is prone to lying.
Yeah.
So you can't trust a damn thing that comes out of that woman's mouth, even if it's the truth.
Just anybody that shot a puppy even once, like I just.
Oh, I'm sorry. She infringed on another being's right to live for no other purpose than she didn't want to train the animal. She should be shot.
Whoa.
I'm not sorry when I say whatever cruelty you do to an animal should be applied to you. Period.
Take away her $60,000 watch.
Yeah. But again, mind you, this is coming from a woman who has 3 cats. Okay. And one of my cats was dumped about 10 months old because she was 10 pounds. She was too big. She's part Maine Coon. She's 24, almost 25 pounds. She's monstrous. I love that cat to death. She is so, I love her. But that's just it, is she was spayed. She was a pet. Somebody dumped her 6 weeks prior to I went to the motel at the motel because they didn't want her. You know, it would have been just as easy to call and to find some place to take her, some shelter. But no, you just dump her on the side of the road.
When I moved to Arizona, I lived in this building called the W6, which is basically a glorified dorm, and it's right in the middle of ASU campus. And I kind of didn't even know it was a party building, but that's what it was. But the thing that would happen is these kids would come from overseas, and they would live here for 3 or 4 years, and they would have a dog while they lived here. And then when they left, they would just leave the dog. I heard that story 10 times, you know,
So
at least.
when my mom, a few years ago, 2021, they raised the prices at the rent, so a lot of people were moving out. One family moved out and left their cat. So I went over there to visit my mom, and my mom was like, "Did you see the cat outside with the black one with the?" She climbed in my lap, and I looked at my mom and said, "Would you be willing to watch this cat and the kids while I run to the pet store and get some stuff for a second cat in my house?" Yeah, nope, that's how I got Knox, because I'm not sorry. You leave an animal behind. Shame on you. There's a special place in hell for you.
No, I can't even leave. I left my dogs for a week, and I was like hugging my pillow because I didn't have Mayor, my little black pug, with me who sleeps with me every night. And
I've decided for my chair massage business in a few years, when I have the money, I'm going to get an RV and I'm going to deck it out for my cats so I can take my cats with me if I want to.
I've taken those boys. They came with me to Mississippi. They came with me in January to San Francisco when I was at Tech for Palestine, which was a really cool conference. You know, they're my companions. They're my kids. And so again, I just look at how she's just doing that.
She's happy. But especially her. So she's a Bengal and she is bonded to me.
Yeah.
So when I leave for longer than X amount of days, when I get home, she throws fits. And she's gotten better about it over the years because she's gotten more used to Dan and the kids. But when I first got her, oh God, yeah, I could not leave for longer than 24 hours.
Yeah, no, I used to when I got my first dog Marley in college. He would just be the best companion. My mom had breast cancer at the time, and so I was pretty depressed, and I dropped out of school just for a semester so that I could go back a lot and visit her and keep her company and while she was getting treatment. And but my dog, like, sometimes I just couldn't get up in the morning, you know what I mean? Because I was just like, what if my mom, you know, what happens? So, but he would always be by my side, even if I couldn't take him out or things like that. You know, he'd just be by my side, and it was such a strength that I had him next to me while that went on. And so again, like, bonded to us, man's best friend. Like, I don't know how people can treat animals like that. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I think it's because they're missing something in the connection when it comes to empathy and compassion. And that's what it is there's something about empathy and compassion that in their brain they're just missing.
And humility, you know, like empathy, compassion, and humility, it feels like if you're a person that you want to live within your means, right? And you just like don't need the special gold toilet or whatever. You don't need all that crap. It's almost like the people who are sociopathic are more like incentivized to have success in America. And our system is capitalist, but it's also socialist. We have fire departments. We have roads that we all share. We have so many different things. Yeah, the mail. Like, there's so many different things that we need, like rural broadband access. Like, yeah, maybe that's not profitable, but heck, we need it. I mean, in this digital economy where most of the jobs are remote and things like that a lot of the time.
Or you need to have internet access in order to even apply for jobs at a McDonald's.
You need a little bit of social. If you want to call it socialism, you can call it that. I don't call the fire. When I go to the fire department, I'm not like, oh, I'm in a socialist part of America right now. Like, I'm just like, my house is on fire.
Yeah,
So,
it's one of those are public services that are given to us as part of a socialist government, because we are a democratic socialist government. That is what our country was set up as, is a democratic socialist government. It is supposed to support the people. It is supposed to take care of the people. It's supposed to take care of the constituents. But what we're seeing is, okay, in a lot of states, look at the roads. Where's all the money going? Where's all the tax money going? Oh, wait, what do you mean you don't get enough taxes coming in? Well, why not? Well, that. And then it comes down to is, okay, because you're taxing the people who are already poor and don't have any more money to give, but you're not taxing the wealthy. Flip it. Tax the poor less, tax the wealthy more, and that inequity you're seeing would actually start to get smaller and smaller and smaller, and would raise the poverty, class up some, and it would actually make the middle class again. Because tell me, in a state where the average household income is 46,000, when did $98,000 become poverty?
No, I mean, that's totally crazy. It just feels like you can't make enough these days.
No, you can't, because that's actually our issue. Is when I sat down and I know where all of our money's going, and it's just like we have to rob Peter to pay Paul and make sure we don't have any late fees just to hope we have enough money at the end of the month. And oh, what do you mean we have $50 left over? Okay, well that's going into savings. We're not spending that because we're probably going to need it.
Yep. And if you make one mistake, like, and it might not even be your fault, right? You get sick, or you happen to miss a payment or something. It just all compounds on you then.
Or they changed the laws requiring regarding medical debt. And did you know they can now sue you for it, and they can garnish your wages?
Like we're gonna have debtors' prisons.
That's what's happening to me right now. I had that happen, that cleared up, and then I did not know that Capital One bought out Discover back in May of last year. And I was on a payment plan with Discover for $150 a month until I paid it off because my cat got cancer, things happened, life happened, okay? So I'm in 6 total payment plans. Like, my money is budgeted. And they decided back in October to not take my payment. I didn't realize this until I got the garnishment paperwork yesterday, which was the final notice. And here's the thing, they had the paperwork since February 10th, okay? That's when it was filed. They delivered it to me on the 3rd, and I actually got mail yesterday that let me know that there was a hearing on the 2nd. I could have gone to attend to object to it.
It's just a lot of things need to change, and especially like that. I mean, when you're supposed to be notified for things like that, and you are getting 100 emails a day that are marketing emails that are coming to you asking for political donations or whatever it is, how are you supposed to keep up with that? Like, how are you supposed to, and then, like, I'm not just talking about email, like, look at your mailbox. Like, your mailbox is full. Like, if you are a homeowner, especially, like, they just start dumping stuff in your mailbox constantly. And I like the mail. Like, I want it to be able to be used for fundraising. Like, I get it. Like, I understand that, but there need to be rules. And I have this in my platform. I don't think a lot of other candidates might talk about this, but I don't think that we should get spammed to death. And I think that there should be rules against that. And using AI to like make a fake video and then just like spamming it out to people, like all those things. Like, if we had real leadership, they would be worried about that crap, and they would be like, people are annoyed. They don't want to have endless. I saw, like, in Fountain Hills, which is in my district, they have passed laws because of their Turning Point funded city council, so that they have as many yard signs as people can stand. Not even, like, more than they can stand. I read a comment. I don't even know if this is true, to be honest with you, because I just haven't looked into it yet. I haven't had time. But today I saw something from the Fountain Hills Democratic Club in their Facebook where they were talking about how someone can come and put a yard sign in your front lawn, like in your, front of your house, and you can't even move it. You can't do anything about it. That's illegal to take that away. So, I mean, we're just living in a time where the campaigning and the marketing are out of control, and no one's even lifting a finger, because the people that would lift a finger are paid by the people doing the marketing and are paid by the people that are doing that. So again, that's why campaign finance reform is so important and underpins everything I talk about, because that's why they don't have to listen to us. That's why our votes are disenfranchised, and it's because money has been termed political will, and it's just wrong. You look at those graphs after Citizens United went into place, and yes, like, there was corruption before that, but really that's where it took hold, I think, the most. And it just happened to coincide with having a black president, and having a little bit of hope and change, and all of a sudden we're an oligarchy. So.
Well, and that's another thing that I kind of want to point out is I have a friend who's a socioeconomist. That is what she does for a living. Her job actually has to do with the government and the economic portion of it. And so she talks about, and she pulled out all her books and pulled up all this on her computer. And like, I was sitting there fascinated for like 3 hours. And she explained to me that our economy works in 4-year cycles, which covers the last 2 years of a presidency and the first 2 years of the next presidency. So there's a lot of things that happened in the first 2 years of Biden that were actually because of Trump's influence, that there's a lot of things that are going to be happening over the next 2 years that Trump's going to take credit for, which are actually Biden's influences.
Yeah. No, and I mean, it used to be that the president would kind of take over the previous president's issues. You know what I mean? Like they would, even if they disagreed, like they would
Even
still
if they
do
were
what they're
opposing parties,
supposed to
they
do.
would take on those issues and continue furthering them.
Right. And now it's like just this go back and forth, tit for tat, nothing gets done. And the people are upset every time. And then they just vote in the other person and they just do the exact opposite. And we don't get anywhere. We're just spinning our wheels and they love it. They love this. They want it to be static.
So I know, and I've read about a lot about this. This started somewhere in the 1930s, 1940s, where they started pitting parties against each other and started telling people that you have to choose one side. Abortion, perfect example. You have to be pro-choice since the other one's, pro-life. You have to do this since the other one says you have to have this stance. So that way we're always on opposite ends. And well, nobody's allowed to have the same thought process and be like, no, actually, I think we're all pro-choice. Everybody should have a right to choose whether or not they get an ectopic pregnancy removed. Okay? But it's one of those, we've been put in a position where the parties and the representatives, the candidates, have to be on opposite sides. They can't actually be on the same side of a thing, despite the fact whether or not they like each other, but they're not allowed to have the same viewpoint on a topic.
Yeah, there's only bipartisanship where it's just the most possible convenient thing that nobody is messing with. You know what I mean? Like it just has to be like the most vanilla issues. And meanwhile, abortion and gun control and the immigration policy. I'm not saying like that there should be this draconian thing, but there definitely should be a policy. Like when I go to Spain, I have to go through customs, and I know that. And like I have my ex-girlfriend lives there, and she's trying to get her green card, and it's taken her a really long time. Like there's policies, we get that, but it's like the DOT. Like that's the level of you broke the law is like a parking ticket there, like for somebody that overstays a visa or things like that. And so half the time it's not even their fault. Some of the time, they're a dual citizen. They have like just didn't bring both paperwork or something. You know what I mean? Like it's just like such a paperwork heavy part of the country about how you get in here, and they're treated like it's bloody murder, and it just makes no sense. We're wasting tons of money on that. Those ICE guys get paid a lot, just so you guys know.
That was actually the next topic, is immigration and all of that. Because I know you have people who immigrated. My great-grandparents immigrated. And then you look at these people who they're doing it the right way, and they're being pulled out of the line still and being told to go home because they can't be sworn in that day just because of the country they fled from.
Totally wild.
They fled from that country for those exact reasons that you're not letting them be a citizen now.
Yeah, and we had a bipartisan immigration law that could have been passed that had Republican sponsored. Republicans wrote that with Democrats, and then Trump came and was like, nope, don't pass that. And one of the things they wanted to pass in that I thought would have been really, really good bipartisan for the country was to fully staff the asylum courts with judges and lawyers. And had they done that, it would have alleviated the common conservative concern that we are like releasing people without them going through that asylum process for years into the country. And so the fact that they got in their own way on that, I mean, they literally fought against the thing that James Lankford, the senator from Oklahoma, had come together with Democrats on that wasn't easy. And then it was so sickening to watch that senator, Lankford, go to the Rose Garden, or I guess the Rose parking lot, or whatever it is now that they paved it. He had to go there and stand in front of them and next to Trump, while Trump said how great he was and how, he was a man who he would trust and somebody who supported the cause. And the only reason that's the case is because James Lankford buckled and was like not willing to come to bat for that immigration law. And I saw it on his face. There's no way in my mind, I think, that he was happy standing on that stage because he knew that we sacrificed we sacrificed the country for the party. That's what he knew. But he couldn't deal with it because if he would have opened his mouth and actually articulated that, Trump would have had him primaried in 15 minutes. I mean, he would have been throwing all that Tesla money and all of that, Jeff Bezos money all over whoever wanted to run against Langford because of that. So he had to compromise his values and being an effective representative for his constituents because of the corruption.
And unfortunately, that's a lot of what we're seeing is we also see people who are trying to, and then unfortunately they are caving and buckling at the last minute because they are brought with the reality of if you do this, this is what's going to happen. And they're like, I can't.
Yeah.
Because it's better for me to stay where I am and to continue on for another 2 years than to have them kick me out and find a replacement that will do what they want.
Yeah, and that's why I keep saying that corruption is legalized in the country and why I really believe that it could be an angel. Like one of the people running for the Democratic office here is Amish Shah, and he ran last time and failed to win. So they're literally like probably going to end up running the same guy again. But the guy's an ER doctor. Like the guy, that's an admirable position. You've done a lot, like you've learned a lot, and you could be that guy. But if you're taking crazy money from that organization, if you're taking millions of dollars from them, and by the way, in my district, they think Open Secrets thinks that they're going to spend $40 million just in my district. 40 million. And so you think that you could, any profession, you could be Gandhi. If you're getting $40 million or $20 million or whatever it is to be there, you're not a good steward of American values anymore. You have left it behind for what you had to do to get in office, and now you're controlled by the top of the party, and the top of the party is Chuck Schumer right now, I guess, and he says that his number one mission this year in his term as the minority senator leader is to preserve Israel in the minds of Democratic voters. So again, I do not feel represented. That's what this guy is saying. He's the head of the party. All the other people have to fall under him. Even if you're an ER doc, I just don't trust you if that's your leader. I just don't think that I can back you. And I probably will end up doing it anyway if I don't get anywhere because I'm a good man. Like I'm going to work for whoever is the best of the two evils that we have. I just want there to be
two evils. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of times that's what it comes down to is you vote for the lesser of the two evils because, okay, so no candidate's great, but at least that one looks like they might not run us into the ground. We'll go with that one.
And then, unfortunately, we've been running to the ground both ways. So, like they passed a law under Biden, and I really appreciated how much legislation he passed. I thought that was one of the great things about having him was that he had so much experience. So maybe they'll pass some bipartisan stuff because he can, mess with, use the Congress and all the things he learned over those decades to be able to do some good. And then they passed like that internet law. You hear about the broadband thing? And then they basically like didn't get anybody internet with that. They spent tons of money. Nobody got anything out of it. And yeah, like you could have maybe used Starlink. Like if you guys weren't at each other's throats all the time, like you might have been able to do a lot of good for a lot of people with satellite internet. They're doing that all over the world. They did it in Ukraine. They did it when people needed things like even in Lebanon now they have Starlink, right? Like we should all be working together. We shouldn't be trying to kill each other. We should be trying to work together because that's how we get stuff done. And I don't want to sit here and be in a party if when you get into power, you're so inundated by lobbyists that you're really not effective like that. That's not what we signed up for. That's not what it's supposed to work like. So it seems very obvious to me. You know what I mean? Like I know people are like, oh, you're an independent, you can't win. But I'm just like, hey, boy, it seems like very obvious like that you would want me as opposed to somebody that's taking millions of dollars to be there. Like I can make a decision for my neighbor, John, who lives next to me and it's not because he gave me $1 million. It's because I live right next to him.
With him and I know, no, John likes this, not this.
Yeah,
exactly. But that's exactly the reason why we need those what I call the third party candidates, the independents, the whatever is not Democrat, Republican, whatever doesn't adhere to that two-party system, and is instead coming in and saying, hey, we can break that system if you guys want to. It's really simple. You just got to vote for somebody that's not one of them. It's that fucking simple.
Yeah, we have this independent candidate network that I was talking about before. And, you know, we project, we have laws ready to go when we get there to submit. And we project that if we can hold the majorities from either the Republicans or the Democrats, which would only take about 5 or 6 of us getting into office in the House, you know, that's going to force them to either pick one of us to be the Speaker of the House, or for those two parties to work together and show kind of their true colors, that they're really just working together to establish somebody like that. And when you have that independent voice, even if it's small at the first, we are going to be very influential when they need us to pass things. And so that's where don't think it's not viable. Don't think we have no power. At the end of the day, they're spending all this money because they know we have the power.
That's just it. Is they are spending all the money to keep the seats because they know if they don't and people actually have a choice, they're not going to choose them.
And even if they do choose them, they're going to have to be honest. Oh, no.
Yeah, that actually would cripple a lot of them. Is, oh God, I got to be honest about shit. You know, but I was talking to one of my clients today, and we were talking about the fact that I really believe that anybody who's in the Senate, anybody who's Congress president, like it or not, your financials should be available to the world. We should know what countries you have bank accounts in and how much are in those accounts. We should know who you're getting money from. Why? Because quite frankly, we should know.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I mean, the benefits in Congress should be no better than the least of anybody who's working in the United States. Like, if you have people that don't have health insurance, then fine. The Congress should not have health insurance because apparently that's okay and you're good with it. Okay, great. Then take away that, pay for your own health insurance out of the $175,000 we're giving you every year to be there. It's enough. You can do it. Like, you have enough backing to build a staff and do all the things that you need to do in Congress and make decisions without huge sums of money. And the idea that then not only that, but they're able to take all this money and then live better lives than any American. It's just,
Or their
it just,
constituents. What it comes down to is they're better off than their constituents. Significantly better off than their constituents.
Yep.
And all they did was they got elected to a public office position.
And it wasn't even that. I mean, who's the top millennial in the country, right? Like, I always say it's J.D. Vance because he's in that top government position as somebody that's in our age group. And J.D. Vance is just the biggest sellout in the country. Like, he's the one that was willing to take the most amount of money and compromise the most values to be in the position that he's in. So
one day he's calling Trump the new Hitler, and the next day he's kissing ass.
yeah, I mean, it just should show everybody that that is not the type of person. Like, we don't want sellouts in our Congress, and that's what we have right now.
You know, we don't want people who are going to fold and bend and kiss somebody else's ass because they think that's what's going to get them the power. No, because that's exactly the problem is there shouldn't really be power per se tied to it because of the checks and balances. It should just be a position where you are hired to literally run a country for 4 years and then step back and hand it off.
Yeah, and I mean, the way that Congress has abdicated their Article 1 duties to the president right now, I mean, everybody should be petrified. Like, this has never been how we've done this. And I think that we're in a very dangerous place right now if we keep going down this road, if we keep having the apathy about voting and stuff like that. Like, almost is just nothing more important than this year. Like, we all need to step up. And I think, like, people don't think that they don't know what to do. You know what I mean? And, like, all these groups, like, watch out, because the groups out there, like, and I hate to just finger a couple of them, but, like, Indivisible.
Okay.
So Indivisible or, like 5051, things like that. Like, honestly, like, I appreciate the work they do and I appreciate them bringing everybody together. But sometimes I think it's like a way for them to just, like, burn off people's energy and, like, get that out of them so that then they don't really, like, want real representation. Because I'll tell you, like, those groups don't want me there. Like, those groups are set up to support the Democrat in those two cases. The groups like unions and people that I'm asking for endorsements, PACs, like things like that. Like those people ask you right away, and I'm not just talking about me. I don't take PAC money, but like I'll give you an example. I was talking to this woman who's running, I think in Florida, and she's like a former general, like literally a general, like had the, all
the stars, all the glory. Yep.
She's a veteran. She went to a veterans PAC, like a veterans group, and they wouldn't even consider her just for the sheer amount of money that she had raised. That was the only reason that they wouldn't even look at her twice. And it's like I went to a party that is like that, like a working party, and I wanted their endorsement. And they said they didn't even have something set up for independents at all, or Republicans. Like they just have a democratic process for the person who wins the Democratic primary. And I was like, guys, like, you're on the right. Like, I'm a member of that party. Like, you can't consider somebody just because I'm not a Democrat. And like, I tried to like keep following up with them to reach out to be at least considered, and they never reached back out to me. I wonder why.
That's horrible. He's part of a union. He works with the CWA, which is the Communication Workers Association. And yeah, like, I love the union simply because it's why he still has his job, because every year AT&T's got to trim the fat.
They got me onto union printing. And so I make sure that if I'm printing stuff and I'm using a union shop, my nonprofit as of here now, we're using a union shop. We're trying to work with them to get some merchandise going. This is one of the shirts that we made before. But yeah, I mean, there's like the unions are the people. You know what I mean? Like the unions are made up. They're more the people than like those huge corporations and stuff. Because unions are beholden to their people. Like their people are paying dues. They're voting on issues. And so I think their money is a little bit different than the money that you're seeing like come from like a Walmart or a Wells Fargo or somebody like that. But still, I mean, they need to consider everybody. Like, and I appreciate the CWA for doing that, and other unions like the AFL-CIO is going to interview me too. And I hope that happens more. I hope that they're willing to consider those candidates that are unfunded. And frankly, like, don't give me your money. Like, give that back to your members. Come help me, and I will get into.
Just ask them to like come and volunteer or something like that. Like, because a lot of times it's the volunteering. It's like what I'm doing right here. We're 2 hours in, and I want to have you on again because I know we're going to have more conversations. Because having those conversations is what we need. It's getting you out, even if it's only to a small handful of people today. Well, that doesn't mean that this conversation is not going to affect people a month down the road because, 3 weeks from now, they're going to actually come across videos that I put together from this conversation. And they're like, oh, hey, I like this dude. Like, where is he at? Like, let me find out more about him. And then it just sparks a conversation because, and this is one thing I keep saying, is that it only takes one voice to spark a revolution. So let's do a revolution. Because really, it only takes one voice to light that fire. Enough people put enough fuel on that wood, eventually it's going to combust. It's just going to take one person being like, hey guys, there is a better way. Why aren't we doing that better way? And everybody going, oh, yeah, I guess there is. Let's do that better way.
And, to all the people that think that we do need to burn everything down just to get anything done, I would say, Trump's already pretty much done that. I mean, we're in a scenario now where
raise it to the ground and start over person on the federal level.
He has
state level, we still have some chances.
Right, but at the federal level, he has fleeced the State Department. We don't even have 50% of our ambassadorships filled right now. And, they have reduced the climate restrictions. They have done everything they can to change around how immunizations happen in this country, taking power away from physicians and their, care providers that we entrust to protect us after they go through a lot of education for that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So the next people to get in will have to put a lot of that stuff back. And it will be so much better for the American people if we put that stuff back without lobbyists doing it in big omnibus bills. One of the main things that the Independent Candidate Network, we all are joined because we don't all agree. I just tell you that we don't all agree on everything. But one of the things that we all do agree on is the idea that you'd have single page bills so that people can understand them and be able to read them.
What's going to be something I brought up is Can we have laws and bills that are easy to understand and don't have 20 things in there and they're just one item per one bill? One item per bill. I don't care if that means you have 100 bills. One item per bill.
So even in my nonprofit that I run, I can't have a board meeting without sending out the agenda like at least like half a week before. Like I need to do that because otherwise no one knows what the hell we're doing. And right now, like they are coming up with these bills that cannot be read in the time that they have to review them. It is impossible to read.
Yeah. Where it's 1,000 pages and they have 5 days to review it and they're like, even if I don't sleep, there's no way.
Yeah. They have to have staff to read it, and then even then they can't get it by the vote. And that's where you get Marjorie Taylor Greene coming into a committee meeting and being like, well, I didn't read that I voted for. She said that because she
more than one occasion because she just didn't have time. Or it was one of those, well, one of my staff members read it and filled me in. Give me 30 seconds. I need to go potty. My second cup of tea is hitting my bladder with something fierce.
That's all right. I'll just talk about whatever I want.
Yeah, talk about whatever you want to all the people in. I'll be right back.
So you guys know that Shadow Kitten hates dogs, right? No, I'm just kidding. That's not true. Wow, look at that Pikachu. I love those little plush pillows like that. Right now I need that one. I don't know what the blue one is. Is that another Pokemon? Like a bad, I'm a bad, what did they used to call us? I'm trying to think. There's Pokemaster. I'm a bad Pokemaster, guys. I'm so sorry to you all. I forgot the blue one's name. It just seems like that might be like one of those iterations of Pokemon that was way after me. So I'm
We talking about my Pokemon Squishmallows?
Well, I like the Squishmallow that's Pikachu, but what's the you have Eevee and Snorlax and
there's a Sprigatito, Snorlax, Grainguard, Togepi, Clefairy, Chansey, Fuecoco. There's an Eevee, there's a Rowlet, there is a Jack Sally. I got so many. Then we have a Dragonite, a Pikachu, and a Meryl.
Okay, Meryl. Okay, I couldn't remember Meryl.
And then I have a sleeping Squirtle right there. I told you I'm a nerd. Do you believe me yet?
Well, I still remember when I got the red Pokemon for my Game Boy, so that should date me.
I had Pokemon Yellow. Okay, I had Yellow, and my mom got me a Game Boy Color for it. It was purple. It was a see-through one.
I still remember fighting with my mom, explaining to her how expensive these Pokemon cards were going to be, and little did I know we would all have phones and do whatever that Pokemon game is. What is it called? Pokemon Go. And people would, did you know that Pokemon Go caused people to like walk off cliffs and stuff? Oh.
It's one of those, okay, people, Darwin Award time, because quite frankly, if you're walking off a cliff while playing a game on your phone, that is a you problem. That is a situational awareness problem. That is a you problem. That's not a me problem. That's not anybody else. That's a you problem.
That's why sheep have shepherds, because of like cliffs, or sometimes sheep will like eat plants and it'll kill a sheep, and then the rest of them will be like, oh, that looks delicious.
That's why I call most people sheeple. They're sheeple.
Taking on some of those characteristics, man. It is, and it's on purpose. Like they're getting conditioned to be like that, like to not question authority and to be like so overstimulated that you can't make good decisions in your life and stuff like that, because they know that if you're paralyzed, you're easier to sell to. It's just unbelievable, man.
Where I'm the kid where I have always questioned authority. In church, I don't understand. Why is it this? But there's a plot hole. There's a gap. Make it make sense. Oh, just accept it. How about my favorite one was they said we were the most tolerant religion. We were told to practice tolerance in church. And then I would watch my elders not be tolerant of other people's religion. And then when I asked them about that, it was, oh, honey, we just say we do, but we don't really.
Yeah, I come from scientific background, like I've been talking about. And our whole system in science is based off of disapproval, right? So if you have the best information, good, defend it. And let's see if you have the best information. And
please, if you have information that counteracts my point, I want to see it. Don't just tell me you have it and you'll send it later. No, give me the link. I want to go look it up right now. Like,
Yep.
I have tablet next to me most of the time, so I can look up things when people start saying, well, blah, blah, blah. Really? Let's look this up. Well, that's not what even Google says. You're saying 85%, and Google's saying 12%.
Well, now
I mean, I can go looking for something else, but like that's just right off the top. Google AI is saying 12%. So I want to know where you got your numbers from.
No, I want it to be transparent, and that's like, again, independent candidate network. That's what we talk about all the time. Is, you know, we're gonna disagree, but we need to have the same set of facts. We need to be able to rely on the information and have it be disseminated to the people. Like, everybody ought to be able to know the cards going in and then make the best decision together, because we're smart. Like, Americans are smart people. You know, if we had a robust education system, like, once you learn the stuff they didn't tell you, I see Americans all the time coming out and being like, hey, whoa, you know, maybe Vietnam was not such a good idea. Maybe we shouldn't do that now again in Iran, or do that in Venezuela, or do that in, like, now I guess we're going to do Canada and Greenland. I mean, we're just so.
He's basically trying to take over the world, is what he's trying to do in his, you know, dementia days.
You know, we've done this before. This isn't the first time. Ever since the Spanish Civil War, we've owned a lot of their colonies. That's where, like, American imperialism really came from, was when we beat the Spanish and took out their armada in the Philippines. And if you haven't read about this, go read about it. But the reason I bring that up is because at that time, Mark Twain was alive, and he went to the Philippines. He saw the destruction, the enslavement, the things that we visited on those people by virtue of what's called the Insular Laws, which are a Supreme Court law that basically said the continental United States is where the Constitution ends. And outside of that, America can have possessions and do things to people that they would never be able to do in America. And I bring all that up because we really left all that behind. We moved away from imperialism. We started getting rid of some of our colonies, and then it stopped. You know, we still have Puerto Rico as a protectorate, that they don't have representation in Congress and they don't get a vote for the president. We have people in lots of places all over the world in small territories that we still own that don't have the full rights that we ought to have for them. And that's not okay. Like, I mean, we all should export from our continental United States the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness to anywhere our money is going, anywhere our military is going. That needs to be there. And if it isn't there, then we should use soft power to push on it a little bit. But we obviously should not be taking over, installing regimes, overturning democratic results like we did in Iran, you know, a long time ago. So learn about your history, go back and look, because I guarantee you there's stuff in there that you don't know. One of my worst things that I've learned in studying history after college about American racism is that back in the lynching days, they used to take body parts and use them as souvenirs for people. So, like, little kids would go home with an ear after a nice picnic where somebody got hung, stabbed, dismembered, and burnt. And when you hear that, I'm sure a lot of your viewers will be like, oh my God, like, that's so horrible. Like, that never could have happened in our country. It used to happen regularly.
Sorry, I'm going to laugh because the amount of things that, oh, honey, I had somebody, we were talking about, they didn't understand why saying they were a supporter of white Americans and white power was a bad thing. And they were foreign. And so I had to sit there and explain, oh, honey, in America, you don't really want to be white. You don't want to claim white. You really don't, because, oh my good Lord, the shit that white people have done throughout the millennia. It's not great. It's bad. It's really, really bad. It's bad.
Well, it's not to make people I believe that everybody has so much more in common than they have different. So it's not to demean white people or say that white people are worse or anything like that. You know, but it's just one of these things where we all have to realize, like, that history matters, like that it's not all just like really shocking overt stuff like that. Like, I'll tell you another stat. The FHA, you know what FHA home loan is? It basically helps, like, new homeowners make a lower down payment than they would otherwise have to make. And it's still not easy when you do that, but it's important for building wealth over periods of time when you have a house. And in 1950, the FHA only gave 1% of loans like that to black people in America. And that kept wealth out of their hands. So that's like another thing that they're, when the new white ethno-nationalists get together and they say all lives matter and stuff like that, it sounds good on its face because yes, all lives do matter. I would say that. But the problem is that they haven't all mattered equally for the last 175 years, 200 years. And so as good stewards of our country and good citizens who care about the people that live here, I mean, that's why people say that we need to fix that or we need to change things, because things like that make us weaker as a country when we hold people down. When we like opportunity equally and we like allow people to go out and, anybody can open a business, anybody can sell this, like, right? Like that diversity is a strength for us. And it's only going to make it a better scenario on the ground for all of us. Like if I go out here in Scottsdale, I am not just eating burgers and French fries all the time. I'm eating tacos. I'm eating Thai. We have some of the best Thai food in the country. We have all kinds of Persian food, and there's Jewish food. There's Palestinian food. We have like all these new Palestinian restaurants popping up. It's awesome because I can't get enough kibbeh, enough shawarma, enough like I can't. I mean, if I cut my wrist right now, a little bit of olive oil would leak out. I'm not even.
I feel that.
I love it. I love it all. One of my favorite breakfast things is bagels. I just have to say, I mean, really, you can't make it up. I'm Palestinian. Come on, man.
No, I love it because I want to get back to kind of like talking about the Frosty Boys. That's what I call them, so that we don't get fucked. It's the Frosty Boys.
Yep, I know we gotta say that. Yep.
Because, well, I will be the first to say on the drive home today, I saw 6 signs that said, keep ice out of our neighborhoods. I was actually proud of my neighbors for that one, because we live in a state where our politicians decided that business owners are not allowed to refuse service to ICE for any reason, where we must open our doors to them. We cannot appear closed. Basically, we have to comply with everything they want, short of letting them inside our personal houses. Period. We have the ability to keep our mouth shut and close our door. That's all we can do. We keep our mouth shut when we close our door, because the second we open our mouth, they can put us in jail. The second we don't comply, they will jail us. They will beat us. They will shoot us. They do not care. We are told to comply, and whatever happens is our own damn fault.
No, they are using IOF tactics here in America based on the models that they have built in Palestine. And I know that sounds crazy to everybody, but then you hear that the IOF is coming over and training our police, training our DHS, training our border patrol. And you're like, why are they training them like that? And then they're using drones. Like I live in a place where I can see planes take off all the time. And I work in a place where I can see planes take off in Tempe. And, I see drones now flying. And I'm like, wonder what they're using those for. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder why they would be launching those from airports that are commercial airports, like where all of us use. I'm really worried about the tactics that we're seeing from federal troops like that. I mean, it looks like Russia on our street.
So homeowner law also includes that we actually own X amount of airspace above our houses. So if those drones are flying within those airspaces, you legally have a right to shoot them down.
Yeah, no, I mean,
And just throwing that out one there for anybody who might ever see one and it's hovering above their house. Yeah, so see what your airspace is in your state, because believe it or not, if you own land, you actually own the airspace above it.
we should all imagine what it will be like to continue with no leadership that actually cares about us. Like, imagine just like drones like everywhere, recording what you do, making sure that you're the person that's supposed to be there, doing biometric scanning. That's what they want to do to Palestinians in Gaza. All of that stuff is being imported back to here to use on us. All of the tactics of settler violence and stuff like that. I mean, those type of things are sort of what we're seeing, and it's all with an eye at preserving the population. I'll tell you, I listen to Steve Bannon sometimes just because I like pain and psychological, torture. And one of the things that he says is that worse than the civil rights movement, because to him the civil rights movement was a bad thing, but worse than that was a law that was signed by John F. Kennedy that made it so that we liberalized the immigration laws in this country. And the reason that he doesn't like that is because it made it so that immigrants could come here from Asia and other parts of the world where they had literally been restricted before that. And so they want to put a moratorium on immigration, the MAGA people. They want to change the demographics of the country, right? Back to what they see fit, that they think God gave them the country for white people. That's not what we are.
To literally whitewash it. And that's something I'll pull up because the amount of slavery and civil rights museums and monuments that are just being destroyed over the last 6 months because they don't want us to know our history because, oh, it was a bad period of time. Well, yeah, if we don't know our history, how are we supposed to not repeat it?
And that's I'm just telling you, that is imported back to us from the way that they are trying to depopulate Palestinians in Palestine. It's the same exact tactics that they're using there. They're using laws. They're putting in laws. Look up the last 4 years, 5 years, 6 years of laws that they have put together to call Palestinians terrorists and to like make it so that you can just take property if a Palestinian's gone too long from their house or things like that. All those things have a way of changing the ratio in the Holy Land so that there's more Jews and less Christians and Muslims. And it's by design, and that's what I'm saying. They're coming back with those tactics that they've built over the last 70 years and using them on us. And I'm terrified. And I think Americans are getting wise to it. And on both sides, like the other day I had someone text me who's not politically aligned with me, and he's just like, dude, like we don't agree on a whole lot, but man, like I do not want us dying for Israel, and I do not want us giving them all this money, and so I'm gonna sign your ballot petition. And I was like, dude, heck yeah.
Because, and that's just it is, we have to look at where our money's going. Last year, $40 billion to Argentina to reinvigorate their society. Reality is, if you actually did the work, Two of his besties, his billionaire besties, actually have most of their money invested in Argentina, and both of them would have gone bankrupt if we wouldn't have sunk that money into it. So basically, they treated the U.S. Treasury as their own personal pocket money.
No, yeah, and there's very little confidence that Argentina will, because that money is technically like a credit line, but there's
it's never going to be paid back. Instead, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up buying their beef, which is infected with parasites.
And that beef competes directly with ranchers here in the United States, including in Arizona, by the way.
And it's going to be cheaper than the actual real healthy beef that you could get here in the States. Because we're going to end up importing more food than we are exporting things out once again, because we import way more food than we should. We actually grow more than enough food for our own people, except for they use a lot of that to grow corn, and we don't need corn anymore. They make too much corn.
I come from a very heavy corn state, obviously, Iowa. And, even there, like, the subsidies kind of screw you, right? Because, like, it makes it so that you're always producing the same crop over and over. And the problem with that is that, you're messing with the free market, right? Like, you're making it so that we're putting a lot of, like, hydrogenated soybean oil into stuff. And things that now have led to proclamations that I've heard, like we have 80% of our food is processed.
Honestly, that's not far from the truth. So much is processed. Like if you look at the ingredients, how many of those ingredients can you actually pronounce? Like how many ingredients? Does it have more than 4 or 5? Can you pronounce any of the ingredients? Like, oh, I can pronounce cream, but I don't know what any of the rest of this is. Well, that's a problem.
I've been real lucky in my life that I've been able to travel like I have. And I've really made a point of it too, even to the point of like maybe getting myself in some financial trouble just because I just like, I'm going to Australia though. But it's been okay and I've survived. But what I was going to say about that is literally every time I go, no matter if it's Australia or Europe or the Middle East or South America or any place else, I literally lose 10 pounds every time I go. Like I literally like could be eating like the most decadent food and I just start losing weight because it's not processed. There's not like crazy salt in there that is like making it so that I retain water all the time and like feel hungry 5 seconds afterwards. Like and the portions are manageable, where I like can eat and I don't feel lethargic, like, and then I like can go on a walk afterwards because I have the time to do it. I don't have to, be working 50 hours a week. Like one of my that girl I was mentioning in Barcelona, she was telling me the other day, she's like, I just don't know if I can do this 40 hours. And it's not because she's like not working hard or she's like lazy or something like that. She literally has a 2-hour commute every day. So that means there's 4 extra hours onto her day.
Which makes her day a 12-hour workday.
Yeah, and I mean, so not everything's perfect in Europe. That's not what I'm saying, but like they have figured out that if you don't kill people at work, like it's better for the country overall. Like they are healthier, they are able to have more enriched lives. And still there's inequality and stuff like that there, that has sort of been left over since the days of a more like vicious or a more just like monarchical Europe. People kept their wealth and they hid it, and now that we are the world leader running around saying that money is political will, it's like they're finding new ways to keep it. They're getting this whole network of nationalism focused candidates and parties and stuff all over the world going in trying to reimpose again like the white ethno-national state across all these different European countries and America and Brazil, and like promoting nationalism in India or promoting all these candidates where they're not democracy, like they're not, it's like an authoritarian network all across the world. I always say we export our values. Whatever's happening in the presidency, whatever's happening in America gets exported all over the world. And now you're seeing that authoritarianism and that oligarchy and that money buys politics go all over the world. It's not a good sign.
No, it's not. It is not. And that's just it is. You can start to see which other countries have similar issues to us. And it's like, you know what? That board of peace, yeah, because they are bored of peace. Look at who's on it. Most of them are the authoritarian, dictator-led countries.
You just kind of picked it up in the way that you
Because they are bored of peace.
No, and I mean they're knowing that they're going to replace the UN, which generally at least gives most people representation. There's no representation for the Kurds. There's none for the Palestinians. We just have observers. And it's just one of these things where America and the Security Council is able to talk about international law and then not own up to it and not actually enforce the international law. And then when it really comes to the question, they say, well, I don't even really need international law because God and me have an understanding. That's like what the pharaohs used to say. I mean,
the fact that he has his military officers telling his troops that he's been anointed by Jesus to bring around Armageddon and his return.
Yeah, no, and like I say, watching Steve Bannon say something like the Mayflower Compact was a covenant with God that gave white people America from the Native Americans. I mean, it's just, it's not true. You hear it, and even if you are a fan of it, I think that in your heart that is not really the way that the country works. So.
Right. And it shouldn't be. And 100% they should leave religion out of politics. If they don't go together, they really do not go together. And if you are, okay, fine, you're Christian. If you know anything about your religion, your religion actually tells you not to quote unquote work for God, because if you're working for God, you could in fact be working for the false God. Instead, their religion tells them to work for the good and betterment of their fellow man, because if they are working for good, they are in fact working for God.
Well, and remember too, the separation of church and state doesn't just protect the state or something. It actually protects the churches a lot, because you don't want the government coming in and telling the churches what they can and can't worship or what Christian really is or isn't. I mean, Christianity needs to be reclaimed from MAGA, because when I watched this video the other day where a preacher, and it's an old video from a couple of years ago, but he's saying how they should turn Gaza into a parking lot and they're waving these Israeli flags and stuff. And it's just like so unchristian, so against everything that Jesus stood for. And I just don't know how Christians can do that. I don't know how they can think that that's the right way to go. But.
Do you want to know the truth? Because they believe that just because they go to church on Sunday, they're going to be forgiven for their sins. That it's okay for them to do and say whatever they want because as long as they go to church and they confess, they're okay. They're still going to get into heaven. And it's like, I have a harsh reality for you guys. You're going to be at those pearly gates and he's going to be laughing in your face going, you know, you went to church every Sunday and you prayed to me. So how come you turned your back to the starving kids down the street from you? That's really Christ-like. Yeah, no, try again.
I mean, Jesus would not have wanted anybody to die. He wouldn't have wanted Jewish kids to die. He wouldn't have wanted any Palestinian kids to die. And the numbers are staggering of the amount of kids. But I just want to make the point very, very clearly that I don't want Jews hiding in bunkers. And they do that in because of the way that they have had their foreign policy. I mean, they have to have bunkers in their houses. I don't want them worrying about going on a bus or anything like that. I want them to live in peace together. And can you think of how much unbelievable money they would make from tourism in Jerusalem if there was peace and no apartheid wall and no discrimination and random military incursions into people's towns? Like, I'm sure there's a lot of Christians that want to go to Bethlehem, can't do it because they're afraid that they're going to get stuck in a regional war where the United States is bombing Iran or something like that. Not that that would ever happen in reality. But
yeah, and it's one of those, okay, cool. So our generation, if any of us wanted to go on a holy pilgrimage to where, Jerusalem, we can't. We cannot, because there is a good chance that we are not going to return home.
Yeah, I literally was stuck in Beirut, which used to be called the Paris of the Middle East, where Israel bombed the airport while my parents and sister were there in 2006. They were okay. They just bombed the runways so that nobody could get out. So 25,000 Americans and me were stuck there. And if you want to watch it, there's a really, really good Anthony Bourdain, No Reservations, where he's in Lebanon at the exact same time that I was, and he went through that exact same thing. But I'll tell you, there's no place on the planet that I would rather have a vacation than Lebanon. There's mountains, there's beaches, there's resorts. The partying is off the hook. Like, it always just feels like you're in the center of everything. There's like Roman ruins. They have caves that you can take a boat in, and you can see like these structures. I can't remember what they call them, like stalagmites and stalactites or whatever, I think, of all these different rocks and stuff. So it's just a beautiful area of the world, and it's totally destroyed by the bombings. Now they're spraying glyphosate on the south of Lebanon to try to kill the farmland so that they can take it over like they did with Gaza. They're destroying the holiest sites, the most of our history that people read about and are interested in the West. They're destroying so many lives that it's just unnecessary. I heard they killed a priest in southern Lebanon recently. It just is not, war is not the answer. War is hell. So we need to be a country that goes out there and stops wars, not starts them.
Understand, my little brother fought in the Afghani war. Like, he was multiple years in there, multiple deployments, finally was medically discharged because of shrapnel and taking it to the whole story. I know how badly that fucked my little brother up. There is no way in hell I will let my son go to war. None. No, it needs to skip a generation in our family. It needs to. We need a generation in our family that is allowed to keep their sanity.
I put a documentary in the chat. I thank your brother for his service, and I hope he's okay. And I put a movie in the chat that is really good that talks about Afghanistan, and it shows you what these guys went through to just be laying belly on the ground in the shrubs on a hill, and you're shooting across to another hill, and you can't see anybody, and they're shooting at you. Some of your friends are dying next to you. You take the hill, and 6 months later, the hill is back in the hands of the Taliban. Over and over, until now, the whole country's back in the hands of the Taliban. We're gone. They have a bunch of our weapons. They have, the ability to demean women and do all the things that we went there for, we thought in the first place. And now we've got soldiers here. They can't get jobs because they have psychological difficulty or lack of, they've lost limbs and stuff like that. And we're not supporting the people that, I mean, at least they did the PACT Act during Biden. Like that at least helped some people. But I've heard that Trump is trying to roll some of even that stuff back. And it breaks your heart. I'm a person where I would have probably joined the military if I thought it would have been moral. And
I did. I tried to. I actually filled out all the paperwork. I was there in the recruiter's office, talking to the two Marines who were sitting there, and they were honest with me, and they told me that I had to choose between my service and my mental health, because if I went overseas, if I went into the Marines like I planned, my mental health would be destroyed for good. And I was already on antidepressants. And so after talking to them and listening to both of them, and both of them telling me there is no shame in walking away and focusing on your own mental health. One of them, he goes, I wish I would have done that. He goes, I can never unsee what I've seen. And so to have people who are honest about their enrollment and their time overseas and their time in war, and telling you, if you enroll, and I have one friend where I'm telling him, if you enlist, understand it's the reserves, we're at war. You will be sent to war, period. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. In the next 2 years, you will be overseas. You will see fighting. You will see death.
Well, not only that, I mean, to everybody here who's 21 to 26 years old, there's been talk of them restarting the draft. They revamped the law for that for the first time in decades in 2025. And, if you didn't think that Trump would go after Greenland, you were wrong. If you didn't think Trump would go after Panama or Venezuela or Cuba, you were wrong. And if you didn't think that he would go and hit the nuclear sites in Iran and then follow it up with a potential regional war that they've started, if you didn't think he would take away the money from Ukraine and leave their soldiers on the front line in the cold without any weapons or ammo, if you didn't think that he would pardon all of the sick fucks that they've pardoned, and if you didn't think that they would go and have these people in power, like my favorite thing is if you look at all the department heads, the person sitting right below them, even if they're not, is a billionaire. Just all these billionaires that are in his administration. If you didn't think he was going to do that, you didn't think there would be no black people in his cabinet at all of those things are true. Like all of these things that we thought weren't true are true. So definitely, if you don't think that there could be a draft in 2026, I have news for you. Like it could happen. So if you're those ages, you have to register. And if you don't, I looked it up today. You know what the fine is if you don't go in the military?
It's 5 years and $250,000 fine.
$250,000 fine, 5 years in prison. Yep. Federal prison. That's what is on the stake for the young people in this country in 2026. So
they're being told that instead of doing that, fragging, take out your superior officer. And thing is, a lot of people will, because you know what? They're broken already. They've already seen death. They're done.
Yeah, no, we can't afford it mentally as a country to go through the Vietnam War again. And it looks like they want to make us try. And by the way, Iran's a lot more difficult to fight than Vietnam would have been. I mean, this is a country of 90 million people. They have a very serious military, even though our military is clearly superior, especially like you're seeing it. You're seeing the people execute like they're supposed to, which we should be proud of in a way. Although I just don't like the outcome.
If it were under different circumstances and like maybe they attacked us first, sure, that'd be different. But we're the aggressors, and that's the problem. Is America has become the aggressor in almost every situation, especially over the last few years, where since his first term, we've become more and more and more aggressive towards the rest of the world, as though we have a right to be like, because that's what he instilled in us is, we have some sort of imperial right to rule, and we need to be leading the world because we're the best. But are we really? I mean, look at our country over the last 100 years. Are we really still the best? Were we ever really the best?
I mean, there's like what I look at is even with all the bad stuff, I'm really proud of America for doing things like establishing like an 8-hour workday, because that wasn't always the case, or like having like working health laws, and having a place where you can, like, we had a black president named Barack Hussein Obama.
Right.
I mean, we have women in this, like, we nominated Hillary Clinton for the presidency, even though she didn't win. But I mean, that's kind of the story of feminism, is one step forward and 3 steps backward. But it still happened. We had Kamala. We have a place where we land rockets now, building size rockets. We shoot them up in the air with jet fuel, and they land like that. We have a place where people can start, not like my nonprofit. Like, I started out of nothing. We raised so much money and brought so much joy to so many children by doing that. And I couldn't have done it maybe if I was in a country that didn't have the resources that I have in America, didn't have like the infrastructure for me. It was pretty easy for me to start a nonprofit. It's pretty easy to start a company, I'm proud of us. I'm proud of the parts that we got right. And I want us to get more right than we get wrong.
See, that's it. Don't get me wrong. We got quite a few things right, but we've also screwed the pooch on quite a few more things that we started to get right. And the perfect example of that is, once again, I'm going to bring up women and the fact that our bodily autonomy is being taken away. They're trying to take away our right to vote by changing, all the rules behind voting. There's a lot of things where they're trying to suppress portions of our citizenship. And that's the problem, is that's where we're going backwards, is instead of forwards, instead of being progressive, instead of, taking the momentum and going forward. So like, oh, wait. We might actually have a woman in power. That's scary, because, and here's what I hear a lot from older white men, the ones who have done been in position, boomers, is, well, what if women decide to do to us what we've done to them over the last few centuries? Did you ever stop to think that women don't actually want to take men's rights away? We just actually want the same rights as you, and then to be treated like fucking human beings?
Yeah, the thing about being a minority is you know how it feels. So once that's happened to you, then you are able to have empathy more for another minority. And that funny thing is, women are not the minority. It is 51% women on this planet, as far as I know, and in this country. And
our country is 53% woman.
There's a really good book called Half of the Sky out there that talks about how women are treated all around the planet. And a lot of it comes down to, like, human trafficking is something that is a large responsibility on America. We have a hand in that, and it's not.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. And so go read that book and see what's going on all over the world. This is a little bit older book, but it's one of those things. And then connect the dots that everything in that book got a lot worse when they cut U.S. aid from everything.
Yeah. No.
John Culver just had a really good episode where he went in on what the U.S. aid cuts look like on the ground, and doing that hurt women a lot. And then with what they're doing in this country, imagine being in a scenario where you might have a miscarriage. And now you live in, let's just say, Austin, Texas, and you don't have the ability to go to the hospital and be confident that the doctor is, let's say you're 6 months pregnant, but this is happening to you and you're feeling sick. Now you have to fly, drive, take a bus, get out of the state, get to the nearest blue state, which I assume would be like New Mexico potentially, or something like that. Not everybody has the money to get there. I mean, I know people that I see, like I say, like, can't even get outside the city because they don't have transportation, they have no job, they have no housing. So you got to think about how that access, like, that has changed so much for women all across this country, in those states where now, because the Supreme Court is also really corrupt, we have a scenario where women are so disenfranchised they might die. It's like nothing that they've done at all. Like, literally, like, they're not trying to have an abortion in that scenario that I.
Perfect example is, and this is the one I bring up. Most of us women, we're pro-choice because we want to be able to have the ectopic pregnancy removed so we can live.
Yeah, like,
That's my main thing. Is like, do you understand these states that have total abortion bans and won't touch a woman if the fetal heartbeat is still going when it's an ectopic pregnancy? You are sentencing her to death because if that egg ruptures, she will die.
And the doctors feel like they're going to get sued if they touch her.
Yeah.
And I mean, another thing that really bothers me about this issue, and something I think Barack Obama did a really good job of articulating, was the idea that nobody really wants like more abortions, because it's such an offensive way. I don't understand this about the pro-life movement. It's such an offensive way to approach women, because what you're saying by that is you're saying that women are out there trying to kill children, and they're not. This is the most tough decision a woman could have to make. That's why it should be up to her and the physician, because they don't want to lose the baby. Like, everybody is trying to keep that baby in any circumstance where they have the means to be able to keep it. Health means, money means, like, that's the scenario. Like, no person, I think, is out there saying, I want this when that happens. And then for the government to come in and put some arbitrary laws that just lead to stuff like what we're talking about, that's where government has taken your liberty away. Like, you can't have life and liberty in the pursuit.
Let's say it's a 0.05% of women who get pregnant and find out they're pregnant 4 months and don't want it. We'll say there is a very, very small women who are like that. My Aunt Sandra was one of those. That's the only reason why I say she had four abortions before the doctor told her if she had another one, she'd never be able to conceive and carry because it would have ruined her uterus.
Yeah, no.
I will say there are some women out there, but we're going to make that 0.5%.
Yeah, very small number. And that's where we really do need physicians to be there to protect the baby and things like that. But I mean, I can easily say, and I don't understand why politicians don't do this. Like, I can easily tell you, me in office, I'm trying to make sure as many children survive as humanly possible. But I am also making sure that people have bodily autonomy. Because if you don't, you're almost like in a low class, like you're in like a different group that doesn't have the right to the healthcare that everybody else has, right? And if it was a man thing, I'm telling you, if it had anything to do with our penis, I swear to God.
They already had the answer yesterday. Are you kidding me?
The doctors will be back in dark.
But the fact that most men don't actually know how the female genitalia works and thinks that the urethra is the same area that is the canal. No. Unlike you, we don't actually pee out the same hole.
This is why we have the incel movement growing, because there's just not enough science being taught. I got to tell you, like, I would redo education pretty much down to the wheels, and it would be very much more like biology, health, and then humanities and informing morality and things like that with health in mind. That's what I think we should be doing, because you need that. Like, you need to know what the natural world is that you're dealing with, so that you're not like injecting bleach or something like that. Like,
here's the best part: birth control. It wasn't until like the last 2 decades they were actually testing birth control on women to see if it actually worked on women, because until then they were testing birth control on men.
Well, and I mean, first of all, they just don't test enough on the groups of people that actually get the medicine, like what you're saying, so much. But boy, you made me think of birth control, because I don't know if you know where it came from, but it's got a crazy story.
Yeah, it does. It stems back, and it was for this and this. And now here we go. We have something that keeps us from ovulating and when we're having our period.
And is not very healthy, I don't think, for people to take. Just, I mean, what I've seen, the side effects are ridiculous. But it came about because in Puerto Rico they thought that the brown people were having too many babies, so they literally were like sterilizing people like without their permission, and they ended up coming up with birth control. And so that's like where it came from. Turns out, though, it actually is something that empowers people, and some people like it enables you to regulate your cycle better. So there's benefits and there's other things. But guess what? No official in the government needs to be making that decision for anybody. We have physicians and we have the women that it's affecting their body. Let them make the decision, and you will have a great society, because you'll have people that have freedom. I mean, that's what we signed in for. I mean,
The big thing is, honestly, the government needs to stay out of that patient room. What happens between a doctor and their patient, regardless of their gender, is between the doctor and their patient. It's why we have HIPAA laws. The government doesn't need to know. It's not the government's responsibility to dictate what doctors can and cannot do for their patients. Quite the opposite. The doctors are the one who go to medical school for 12 years and then spend X amount of years in a hospital before they can even do a private practice. Like, you have to be in the medical field for 20 years before you can actually do shit like that.
my dad's a retired pediatrician, and he's just such a great guy. He like, I don't mean to just be like my dad's so great, but for the last 40 years of his, the whole career, he never missed a day. Like, dude never called in, no PTO. Like, he just, a couple conferences here and there. He worked one time, he had like a broken fibula in his leg. And, watching his work and seeing what he had to do, and then I'm recalling this story where he was trying to prescribe a bully blanket for a baby. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I do.
So it's basically just like a weighted blanket, viewers, that makes it so that you don't have as many seizures. That's what the purpose of it is. Seeing him take this phone call from an insurance company where they were denying the bully blanket, that they didn't cover this, and this the rage that he experienced, and having to call them and make that happen for that baby, was just so eye-opening to me. Like, to see, that's like one of the reasons I'm not a doctor right now sitting in front of you, because like I was like watching this destroyed system do things to people almost just without a soul. And I just think we should end that. Like, I think that doctors, nurses should be in charge, especially nurses. I mean, nobody knows this, but
nobody knows things more than nurses. Oh my God. If you have questions, you don't ask the doctor, you ask the nurse, because the nurse is going to have the answers.
For 5 minutes, and granted, like, there are wonderful physicians out there that know all their patients' names and children and bring them gifts at Christmas and stuff. So I'm not just pegging everybody here, but really the nurses are running most of the big hospitals and like understand the patient's needs and stuff, and then they're not in charge. And it's just like, what? Like, why would you not want the nurses in charge? And then you have these administrators making all these big salaries, and not really like having to deal with the patients or anything like that.
And then you're paying nurses a penny to the dollar compared to those people who are not actually doing much.
Really, really upset and excited. I mean, we'll be here 10 years. I'll just like it. The things that I've seen them do, the way they manipulate H-1B visas to make doctors work slave hours and stuff like that. The way that they take away care and like incentivize like bad outcomes for people. You can go to a doctor and get no care. Like, you can go to an urgent care and you basically get nothing from that except a bill. So just disincentivize. We all don't want to go to the doctors. We don't want to friggin' pay a couple $100 copay or whatever they call it. I just think we should take that away. Like, for basic healthcare, you should not have a bill coming out, because then you would go to primary care and you would make sure that your work is good and that you're feeling good when you go to work, and psychologically, like, you can take the constant blowing up of children's schools. Damn it, I'm sorry, man.
No. That's right up. That's right up there with the school shootings we have here. It should never have happened. Why are we the only first world country with the concept of school shootings?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that children are afraid to go to school, to me, is just shows that we're not the greatest country in the world right now.
The fact that when I was in school, there was no such thing as an active shooter drill, and now my daughter can walk me through step by step. So can my son. Exactly what they do based on what classroom they're in.
Yeah, we had, when I was in school, I mean, it was just starting at that time, but we had a scenario where this kid ended up shooting somebody at his house. So not at school, but we went into lockdown, and I remember that and just thinking like, oh shit, like, was this guy going to come to the school and start opening fire or something like that? And now that has happened at schools multiple times in some cases. And it just is a breakdown. And that's like, do we know what it is? Like, they used to always be like, remember, it was the video games. That's what they thought it was.
That's what they thought it was. It was video games. The video games were making them violent. No, that wasn't the cause, because it's still happening.
Yeah, it's a failure of leadership. That's at the end of the day. Like, if you don't like your schools, Look to who the leaders are. Like see what is going on, and that really also, like, the federal government plays a really big part there, especially with disabled kids. I mean, does anyone know how ridiculous it is that they are gutting the Department of Education to the point where the Supreme Court is having to stop them a lot of the
Both
time?
of
And
my kids are on an IEP.
I mean,
Yeah. So believe it or not, I understand more than best. We actually have to do my daughter's IEP over the next 2 weeks. It took me 4 years of fighting with them to finally get her on it. And then my son, thank you, Pamela. My son's on one and he's going into high school and they wanted me to take him off because, oh, he's doing great. Yeah, he is now. But what happens when he goes to high school and the two kids that were his biggest bullies when he was in elementary school that he got a 3 year break from, that his best friend didn't get a break from, start bullying him again? Because they already told Jonah to pass along. Let Aiden know we're looking forward to seeing him next year and picking up where we left off. So I asked him, so tell me how that's going to happen. How are you going to handle bullying if he's not on an IEP and he doesn't have a designated contact? Tell me who he's going to go to for help. Tell me who's going to help him if this happens, because I know for a fact what that does to somebody's grades, and I don't want my son dropping out of high school. Not like I did. I have a GED. Why? Because the bullying got to the point where I almost took my life 4 different times.
No, I mean, it's the problem is we can't have a bully in the White House while the First Lady has an anti-bullying message. Like, it just doesn't work. People don't believe you. And like I say, like, the presidency is really important. Like, we export whatever that dude is doing, or woman, or whoever is doing. That's what we're exporting everywhere, and what we're exporting into our own television sets, our own, everybody who's doing anything. The president is on your mind because they make decisions that affect us all.
Leadership by example, and his example that he's saying is you are allowed to be the worst version of yourself and it's okay. The rest of us are out here going, no, okay, you're not allowed to be the worst version of yourself because, no, that's not okay. And it's allowing people to be as racist as they want, because there's no repercussions for me saying things and blah, 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 blah. Turns out, oh, you really are a member of the KKK. I'm not okay with you. Like, no, you are gone off the deep end. Why? Because they're at the point where, well, their president's being it. They can be their worst version too, because he's giving them the liberty to, because that's what they've always wanted, is permission to be that version.
When they should be drugged towards being a better person. Like, I mean, that's what faith calls you to do, is to be a better version of yourself that God would be more in line with, right? So, and it's so crazy when people claim to be godly and then they act like that, and they're not, turning the other cheek, and they're not trying to love thy neighbor, and they're not, grounded in things that make Christians Christian, or make Muslims Muslim, or make Jews Jews, or make Hindus Hindus, anybody, Buddhists. Like, we all, like, when you really examine the religions, like, I feel like it's just philosophy at the end of the day, and it boils down to being a good person in all cases. Almost always that's what you're trying to do, is be a good person, and we just argue over what that looks like, I guess. But it's certainly not picking on people. It's not going out there and putting people in groups and saying that one group is better than the other because of this or that. We need better leaders. That's what I come back to all the time.
And that's exactly it is we need, because it is 100% always going to be leadership by example. So we need the leaders who are setting the right example, and that comes down to the people who, well, listen, the other guy I was interviewing, he uses the golden rule for leadership, and I love it, because here's the thing: is the golden rule actually shows up in every culture, in every religion, and somehow tied to every ethnicity. It is do unto others as you would have them do to you. It is the simplest rule, and it shows up in so many different ways, but it is the same damn statement. Treat somebody else how you want to be treated. That's all you got to do. And if you did that all the time, and if you tried to actually each day wake up and be a slightly better version of the person you were before, just say, I had a bad day yesterday. It was a bad day. We had a bad day. We're going to do better today. I'm not muting him, because then you can't.
I'm sorry.
But no, it comes down to, you're right. We need better leaders, and we need to find the people that we can put our faith and our trust in, because that's where a lot of us are hurting, is like, we don't know who we can trust, because, well, this person said this, and well, they got this, and then they did this, and they said this and that, they were against this. Turns out they're not against it, and they're doing that. Perfect example is Mr. Trump. No more wars. What has he done? He sent troops into Venezuela and took their leader, and then he bombed Iran. But no more wars. Yes, no more wars.
And they're threatening Cuba too, like daily. Like they just have basically sieged them by keeping oil. I mean, everybody needs oil or some form of energy to survive. Like in the 21st century too. Like, give me a break. So we shouldn't be using these tactics like what they're using in Gaza, keeping food away from people. There's just that bad leadership.
It is. And there's a lot of times where I've looked at company leaders, and they've done some stupid things, like, perfect example, the spa I worked for, okay? Part of me being hired on is I gave her my medical accommodation notes, and she agreed, so we had it in the thing where I could use my employee discount to get a weekly maintenance massage. So 1 hour every week. She kept booting me off because she wanted to make $30 more and said, well, if you're in so much pain, we'll just take you off the schedule for the week, which, by the way, is illegal. So many different levels of illegal. I took her to court over this, and I won, and now I'm waiting for them to finish doing the payout, because it was a class action lawsuit where I got 56 other people on board who all had been discriminated against her for medical reasons. And there's a secondary one where she discriminated against people for the color of their skin. And what she doesn't understand is I actually recorded one of the conversations she had with us when she told me all Black people were lazy and worthless, and she was trying to fire every last one of them. So mind you, she would rather make $30 more for 1 hour than the $1,600 I made her minimum every week for working 16 hours, because in her book, I wasn't working enough.
It's like greed.
The best part is she fired me, and she tried to tell everybody at the location that all the issues that were actually my fault. So tell me, how come everything got significantly worse, and then she blamed it on another therapist who she then fired, and then everybody else quit? Everybody I worked with within 6 months found another job and quit. Why? Because they saw, when they found out that, oh no, I don't own a gun. I never threatened to bring a gun back up to get my client list. No, I said, you want to know what really happened is I showed up to work that day. My room was a total disaster. Everything had been taken out. The cleaning supplies were hidden in another room underneath the sink, underneath the towel. You know how I know? Because I broke on the bottom of each bottle, there was a room number for the room it went in. I did all that. I knew that was mine. It said room 4 on the bottom. So why is it in room 8 behind all of room 8 stuff? So they literally did that. They took everything out of my room. They took all the clean supplies out of it. And then they took a bottle of oil and they put it all over the bed. Then they put it all over the blanket and sprayed it on the ceiling. Like, I have videos and pictures of this that I provided to the court when they try to say, oh, well, she walked out and this. No. I went up front and I complained to them about the state of my room, because I'm sorry, as the manager, it is your job when you get here at 8:30 in the morning to make sure every room is set up for the therapist that day. So first of all, manager didn't do their job. Found out later the manager was the one that did it. So, they said, oh, well, she came up front, she threw a fit, this, that, or whatnot. One of my clients who was there, I actually messaged her and asked her, hey, would you be willing to testify in court as to what you saw in the lobby that day? She goes, yeah, why? I said, well, they're saying this. I said, all I did was I walked up to the counter and I whispered to Sierra and I let her know the state of my room. And I told her, I am not happy right now. We will have a conversation when I am done with work today. So get my room clean, take Michelle back, work on her, come out. My entire book had been cleared for the day and I was told to go home. But I walked out in a fit of rage and threatened to be come back. When I told the courts this, and they're like, is that what happened? And the owner goes, well, I don't know. I wasn't there. She goes, okay, so you're saying all of this happened, but at the same time, you're also saying you don't know because you weren't actually there and you haven't confirmed any of this information with anybody. Not her husband, as to the conversation we had when I was fired, because he's like, well, it looks like it's not working out for us. I said, well, maybe you might think that, but I'm happy. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. So mind you, they set it up and tried to pin it on me quitting, walking out, doing all these things just so they didn't have to pay unemployment. Yeah, because they didn't want to pay unemployment, because if she paid unemployment, then she would actually have to admit the truth to her husband, which was not what she told him. It's corporate greed. It's they see somebody who has the ability to lead and is actually leading their employees, leading their manager, leading everybody, and they're threatened by that person because they're actually competent at their job.
Yeah, and in a right to work state, they can just fire you for any reason. So it's leaving the workers like you in that scenario at a place where you have to take legal action. And God knows most of us can't even afford to do that. So I'm glad you won.
Got lucky. I found somebody who was willing to take me on pro bono if we lost and for a X percentage of whatever we won. 4%. That's all he wanted. 4% of whatever we won. It was 5.6 million. That's split between 56 people plus his 3% and whatever administration fees. So at some point in the next decade, I'll see money. I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, because even if you do win that, like I won a lawsuit against a guy who just refused to pay me money because I was doing solar, and that's like just a really common thing that can happen to you in solar is that they just sort of walk away, take your commissions. And so I sued him and I won, but how am I going to collect it now? Like I have to literally pay somebody thousands more dollars to collect it, and I will. I'm going to hold on to that, but it's just something where it's like, if you don't have the means to do that and someone screws you, you're just SOL. But if you're
I want to step further, and I actually called and threatened the corporation because she's a franchisee, and I let them know that right now we have 2 lawsuits in place. Right now, this is what's going on, and I told them, I said, so what I would highly advise is you do everything everything in your power to make sure she is no longer a business owner before I go to the media, because let me tell you, we have some stories and it will drag your entire company through the mud and you will lose so much business. It's not even funny. They're currently buying her out of her 2 locations. They are going to cover the rest of it because otherwise all 56 of us are going to the media. We will tell our stories. We will drag them through the mud.
Yeah, no, I mean, they
I don't like being that person. I had to be the see you next Tuesday. I don't like being the see you next Tuesday. They forced my hand. They made me be the see you next Tuesday. So guess what? They're going to fucking pay for it.
I mean, it's just hard when it's like people are taking advantage of people. That sounds like somebody who got their money in a weird way. You know what I mean? Because when I meet a business owner, usually I can tell they care about their employees because it's really hard work for them to get there, and then they count on those employees to get the job done, and they don't want to lose their nest egg. They don't want to lose what makes them money, so they care about them. And that's the way a business should be run. But if you don't care and you just treat people like crap like that, I mean, you don't stand a chance against a business that is doing it for the right reasons or something.
Right. So her story is supposedly when she lived in Wisconsin, she was a lawyer. Okay. But when she moved out of Wisconsin, she went back to school for 12 years and became a physical therapist. And then she bought the franchise and was running the franchise Monday through Friday and then working at the hospital as a physical therapist over the weekend in order to be able to afford it and be able to do this and that. I'm like, okay, cool. So you spent 24 years in college and you're 46. And you started college at 21. Wow. But you actually care about your employees, but you don't act like it. She told me at one point, my fibromyalgia was a made up disorder and it was in my brain and I needed to just get over the pain. But her sister has it. And that's the reason why she knows it's fake, because her sister just does it for attention.
Oh, that's a Lady Gaga.
But she went to school. She's a doctor. But my illness is made up. Yeah. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people like that who are in business. Perfect example is we're going to bring up minimum wage, which just sucks. It's $7.25 federal, and it's the same in a lot of states. My state's one of those. You can't live off of $7.25. There's no way. You have to make $22 an hour in my state to survive. We've done the math. That's minimum. I make $40 an hour, but I only work 10 hours a week right now because nobody can afford to get a massage and insurance is not covering it.
I started in 2003 working at a grocery store making $5.15, and to think that 23 years.
1998. Hold on. 98? Let's see. No. 2000. Grocery store, making $5.15 an hour. First job.
That was the minimum wage back then. And
Yep.
I have a friend that works with Bernie's staff, and she did this thing in Iowa City. It was really impressive. She got it so that minimum wage would go up with inflation. And if you think about that, that should be the standard, because nobody should have to be not keeping up with inflation with their salary. And really, it's not even $7, by the way, because people who work on tips and things like that can get paid $2.
Yeah, $2.13. I also was a waitress at one point in time. That has not raised in the last 30 years because that's what it was in my first waitressing job when I was 18.
When you zoom out, if you look at the GDP and you look at wages as a percentage of GDP, and then you look at the last like 20 years especially, it's very interesting how the labor wages have not gone up, but the GDP has gone up.
Yep. And so one of the things I do with my massage business is I have decided that I am paying my employees the same exact amount I pay myself. Why? Because I think that's fair. As a licensed massage therapist, I pay myself 50% of the service commission, whatever that is, prior to any discounts, any savings. So if it's really a $150 therapeutic massage, right? You make $75 of that, but we're only charging $100. Guess what? You still make $75. I eat it. My company eats it, because my mind is, as long as you are making money, I am making money, period. So when I do my chair events, guess what? I am putting people in my therapist chairs before I put them in my chair, because, oh, okay, we got 5 chairs. Guys, you can get in mine. Since there's no openings, I'll put somebody in my chair since we have a queue of an hour long. Just things like that, where I will put everybody else, I will make sure they are earning money, because one, if they are earning money, they are going to come back to work for me. Chair massage, 4 people, $50. $25 per session, you earn $12.50. It's half the service commission. If for some reason I'm discounting somebody and it's $20, guess what? You still earn $12.50. I am not going to take it out of my employees' wages when I decide to give somebody a discount. I will take that out of the corporation side, the company side. Why? Because that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing the work.
Exactly. And it's one of those, so, hey, you agreed to come work for me during an event where it's going to be crazy and there's not a whole lot of structure. And basically, you're just going to sit in front of a chair and work on people. I will pay you. I will pay you as much as I can. I will make sure you are getting tips. I'm making sure you are getting the people. Because again, if you are making money, then at the end of the day, when everything's said and done, all the bills are paid, I can pay myself.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's how you should run a business.
And that's what I did for the last year is I paid myself for a total of 2 hours and I sunk everything else back into my business. That's it. I paid myself for 2 hours. I paid myself $112 and then I sunk everything else back into the business.
And I mean, there should be more money coming to you, like as a small business owner, like they, like you said earlier in the conversation, they are incentivizing the corporations and the large entities, but the small business owners are suffering still and like having to try to hoof it all the time. And you know, that's why people have 2, 3 side gigs all the time now. Like literally everybody I meet, even I met an architect this weekend and she had a side gig and I was just like, God, like,
I crochet and I sell my creations. I mean, are you kidding me? If you look over there underneath the ball, you can kind of see it. Maybe that blanket that the cat's half laying on, I made that. Like, I make stuff and then I sell that because guess what? So my lower half of my body, because of my fibro, that's where I have my issues in my legs. My legs fatigue really easily. So I get X amount of hours every day where I'm okay to work massage. But after a certain point, I have to stop or I will overdo it with my legs and I won't be able to walk the next day. That's the issue is if I overdo it with my legs, I physically cannot walk the next day. Yeah, that spa owner still wanted me to put in 8 hours every day when I can only do a maximum of 5. That is my maximum. And I typically stop at 4.5 because if I go over 5, I'm pushing it. So it's one of those, like, there's so many different things where these corporations, big business owners, the franchises, the people who are being incentivized to overshadow our small businesses, where the small business owners are the ones who are actually trying to pay their employees the true livable wage, because we understand Walmart is purposely underpaying you because they want you on welfare. I don't want you on welfare because if you're on welfare, that means I'm not paying you enough, and I'm not paying you enough. That means I'm not charging enough, and if I'm not charging enough, we need to redo the entire pay scale.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, we have a chance here in 2026 to put people in there who can help small business owners. And that's another reason that we need independent candidates that are from the communities that they serve, that spend time there, you know, that see people's concerns like that. Because otherwise, you know, small business owners, like there's guilds and stuff like that, and there's associations, but at the end of the day, they just can't beat like a Chase Manhattan. You know, they can't beat like a giant Monsanto corporation if it's like a small lab or operation or like a small farm. And that's a problem. I mean, I always remember banks too. Like when I was a kid, there's like a different bank on every corner with a different name. And now they're all Wells Fargo, or they're all Chase, or they're all just one of these huge ones. And then there's maybe like some community banks, but not nearly as many as they used to have. Those are like the survivors. Like there should be that. Like we should have.
I love my credit union. Let me tell you, I have three of their offices within a 20-minute drive of me. Yeah, within 20 minutes. Because I have to drive 20 minutes to get to the closest one. Because unfortunately, they've had to close down 2 of their branches because the land got bought out from underneath them.
Yep.
And they decided they didn't want the farm there anymore. They put a Chase instead. Because Chase bought the land beneath the building.
Can't make it up.
No, you can't. And that's the scary part is if you continue to look, it's happening all over. I know one of the things that some of the people I've talked to, they're focusing on is the monopolies that have developed in their cities, in their towns, in the state. BlackRock buying up all of these you know, corporations and then making monopolies, and people don't even realize they have monopolies until you start looking at who owns the umbrella company of the sister company of the company that bought it.
And then they run like a PR campaign to hide it all.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
we should come back to the interstate banking compact and redo that, because that made it so you couldn't bank over state lines. And so then it just ensured that small banks could survive because they just were in a more of a marketplace within their own state. That I don't know that that's not a good thing to go back to. Like I need to in my, I guess, work, I want to find ways to incentivize those small businesses, because there's like places like Chicago where you can't have a Walmart. You just can't. Like there's laws that make it so that it protects all those small business owners that live there and contribute to the society. And I think we would be far better off with a lot more unique businesses than just like a cookie cutter option of like 5 of them.
Yep. And I'm a big believer of shop local. If you can, shop local, support your small businesses. Why? Because they need it. They are how we fight against the bigger corporations, because the more we let small businesses close down, the more the big corporations are going to take their portion of the profit. And we can't let that happen, because that's exactly what's happening. We see small businesses close down all the time. They just couldn't keep their doors open because their rent got increased by $500 a month or $1,000 a month because so and so and so and so in this building, these people want to buy the building, so they have to increase the rent of everybody by like $3,000 a month, so everybody moves out and ends their leases, so that they can sell the building to somebody else and make even more money, and then have other businesses come in, and they're not the small mom and pop businesses because they had to shut down.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a boycott person generally, just because I like free market economy. Like I like being able to buy what I like. If I want something, I want to be able to buy it. But big but, because now I have like stopped using Amazon. Like I've stopped using Uber Eats because I heard that it hurts the restaurant owners and makes it so that it cuts like most of their profit out if you do it that way. Plus a lot of things about that. I've realized like they're adding hidden fees in there and making it way more expensive. And then the people who are selling the food have to make it more expensive too because of that. So I'm doing everything I can locally, but that's just like my main modus operandi, like the thing that I'm always trying to do, because I know what you're saying. Like I feel exactly the way you do about that, and I think like I go to like farmers markets for that reason. That's a big thing for me. They're trying to put a parking lot on our farmers market here in Scottsdale right now, and they're going to do it too because the city council is bought and paid for. It's just ridiculous.
And that's the thing that, oh no, they paved our farmers market, and our farmers market still meets there every Saturday because they said, oh, F it. Guess what? We can, so we are.
Yeah, good for you.
And it got to the point where like our city just decided that, yeah, you guys can keep coming back here every Saturday because there are so many constituents that have gone to the courthouse and have protested it. Like to the point where nobody could get in and out. Like they weren't blocking the streets, but it was very hard to get along that sidewalk because it was packed jam with people protesting.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You try to take my farmers market away, I'm bringing my pitchfork. Like it's real.
No, like one of my clients, he's 83. He goes, this was 3 years ago. I was there. He goes, I was there 80 years old in the rain going, you give me back my dad's corn. I love Mike. He's amazing.
Yeah, where I'm from, the farmers market's a very important thing, and I'm really glad that we have an awesome one here in Scottsdale. I mean, that's where I get a lot of signatures and stuff too. So, I mean, it's not just for that. I see people playing music there and getting tips and stuff. I mean, it's a whole thing. And one time actually there was this guy who was there and somebody was in his spot and he was like super pissed, right? Because it's like part of the livelihood that you're like working on. So they just, we need to have that community. Like it just makes everything richer.
It does.
And when they corporatize everything and take away representation from people, they just make it so that we lose that kind of stuff. And then we're always in, IKEA, trapped in like the maze, like having to like go all the way to IKEA really bothers me, man. Like I even have some of their furniture, but they just, that way that they suck you into that whole store every time is very weird. I won't go there.
And then you end up spending twice as much as you planned, and you're like, God damn, what did I do? What did I do?
You get it home and you can't put it together because it's all Denny's menus and pictures and stuff. And you're like, how is this the way that you couldn't use any words? Like you put ink on the page. Like just put words on the page. Can't be more expensive, guys.
Not a single one of the instructions is in English.
Yeah, they're all like Hajirk and all these weird names and stuff, but I do think that they are an affordable option sometimes. But I'd rather get it from like a local carpenter or something like that. I mean, that's what we should be incentivizing. And instead, we're like leaving it up to the biggest corporations to go and influence all the politicians so that they have like a easy way to compete people. I mean, it's just so un-American. Like we need.
One of the things that I'm actually looking for is I need an armoire-like dresser for my altar. So I'm looking for a carpenter in our area who could actually build what I'm looking for, understanding I will pay more for it, and I'm okay with that. Because I have no problem paying more money for things that I know are good quality, and the artisan backs. Like, if the wood rots or anything like that, like the bottom of this drawer falls out, you call me, you let me know, we get it fixed.
Yeah, that's what we should be dealing with.
That's how it should be. For example, I bought some rings when I went to rent a fair back in Arizona because I was there a few weeks ago, right? So we went to the Arizona Renaissance Festival and I picked up 2 rings. And one of the things both of the vendors told me is they handmade it, they backed it. If anything ever happened to it, here's the business card. You contact us, we fix it. Period.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, yes, thank you. That's how it should be. My crochet items, I back. If for any reason it gets a hold, starts fraying, you let me know. If I'm local, I will come over and fix it. If I'm not, you send it to me. I will repair it and send it back to you. Trust me. I actually weave extra yarn into each item for those exact reasons. There's a good chunk of probably about 1/3 of a skein woven into it in various different places in case we have that exact issue, so I can snip off what's been woven in and use it to repair the spot. Why? Because as people, we should be able to stand by what we do rather than, well, it's a cheap piece of plastic. Congratulations, it broke.
Yeah, like get a new one.
Yeah. But that's the other thing they have turned around is, and I'll let you go here shortly, but corporations have stopped thinking of us as customers and we are now consumers. There's a big difference because customer service is no longer prevalent in corporations where we are consumers. Customer service only exists in the businesses that actually still view us as customers and want our repeat business.
Yeah. Yeah, if they're too big to fail, it's a problem.
Yep. Whereas if they're a small business, you know what? I'm not going to make everybody happy. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But you know what? 90% of the people who are going to get on my table are going to walk away happy, very happy. 5% might go, and 5% go, I don't like her. Fair. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. That is okay. You're probably not mine either.
No, I agree. I mean, hopefully we'll have a better scenario. I think I'm feeling the sense in the country that something's going to change. I don't know if it'll be me or who it'll be, but I really think we're going to see some different people get elected in 2026. I hope so.
Oh, my fingers are crossed because that's one of the things where I'm going to definitely check back with you and like have you on after the 23rd just to see, did you make it on the ballot? If not, who are you supporting? Why are you supporting them? Things like that where, okay, if you're not on it for this year, what can we do to help make sure you're on it for the next time around? What can we do to help you to make sure that you are running for whatever it is that you think you can achieve in order to help the people in your area?
Yeah, we'll stay in touch and we should do this again so that we can, I always think that it's good, like hearing somebody once, like, yeah, but if you can hear them consistently, then you can really get a sense of like where they come down on issues, or once there's new issues, there's going to be new issues, guys. Like
there's new issues every day, but that's the reason why I want to have you guys on more than once. And like I told Ethan, once every few weeks, you guys let me know what your schedule looks like. I will work you into mine. We will figure something out. That way we can have you on, because the more we get you out there, the more people who can hear you, the more impact you're going to make.
No, I appreciate that, and for sure. And next time we won't get restricted somehow. I don't know what we'll do.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out, and and I think like all of our representatives should be doing this. Like they should be doing this transparent. Meet with people, and like it would be great too to like take questions or things like that. Actually, if anybody has any questions, throw them in there before we leave and stuff, because you guys have been great. The ones I feel like it's just been, really
a handful of people, but there have been people who come through who have said hi, who have sat and watched for a minute. Which is exactly what I ask of them. A lot of them, it's throw a few likes. If you're not already following. Share the live a few times. Help get me out there, because if you help me get out there, you help them get out there. And if we help them get out there, then we can affect the change we want in this world.
No, and I mean, we need to hear it. Like I say, I'm just one guy, and I'm trying to be a voice for my constituents and my people that I'm neighbors with. But I can't do my job without that feedback, right? So like the fact that they never talk to us is crazy. Like they should be getting as much feedback as they can so they know what people are going through. And like some of that you can just get by living in the place and like walking around and seeing it. You can't always get that because people don't want to tell you some of the stuff that is their hardest challenges that they're struggling with, and people have pride in this country.
It's embarrassing, and they feel shame for admitting that they are even struggling. I know, I have it too. I'm also the first person these days to admit, yeah, my life's falling apart. It's not great. I'm human too. Want to talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been 50 pounds heavier than I was right now, so like that was a struggle for me. Like I've been laid off where I had to go find a job and try to get through that. So. And it was not something I advertised when it happened and stuff.
Yeah.
You put your best foot forward all the time, but as representatives, like we need to know where it hurts and what pain level it is, and then give you something so that we can get better together.
Yep. And that's just it is. The only way we can heal is if we heal together. We cannot continue to operate in the idea of the nuclear family where it's each individual for themselves. We truly have to get back to community investment and community living, and depending on our community and having our community there to support us. Flip side is not everybody understands. Most people don't, and that was brought to the forefront during the pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, the crises, when you have a crisis, it shows what's really like good or bad or not working, because those things are exacerbated. So that's and every time we go through one of those now, one of the things that keeps happening is the billionaire people like take advantage of it. And the rest of us give up some of our property, give up some of our wealth, and that just shows right there crises are showing what's happening to us over a slow period of time. And I call it, they're like sapping it from us. You know what I mean? Like they're just siphoning away a little bit more middle class, a little bit more middle class.
Slow, steady drain. It's like we have a dam and we've plugged everything, but there's still a little bit of the little crack that's just one drop is coming through, dripping. And that's all it is. It's just a drip, but it's enough that it's lowering the water level ever so slightly, even if we can't figure out the reason why. Well, go and make sure everything you've done and you've patched is actually patched and it's not leaking.
My theory is if we institute a system of campaign finance reform that's public, that think of how great that would be to have like 6-month elections every time, and there's no 2-year elections or things like that. There's no crazy money wasted on everybody's on the same level playing field, and all they've got are their ideas to differentiate them.
Yep.
I just think it would be such a better world. I think our country would be better if we did that, and we need to about face right now.
That's
It's hard.
how it was in the beginning, is that's all you had. You didn't have money. You had your ideals and you had to sell people on your ideals.
Funny, it's like they gave the real freedom just when it was like white landowners, and then like now that it's like a diverse country, they don't want any rights anymore. Give me a break.
That's exactly it is, because it's not one subset of our ethnicity, of our race. It is the entire broader, all the ethnicities, the diversity, all of that. It's fear. It's 100%, if you look at it, it's fear. They are afraid of what's going to happen if they lose power, because they are so sure that everybody else is going to do to them what they have done to everybody else.
Yeah, it's not the truth. The truth is that when you actually have a government by the people, everybody will prosper.
Yeah. By the people, for the people, of the people. Guess what? The people prosper. You think it's a very simple concept, but it seems to be something that not very many people ever had hammered into them.
It's just like when Thomas Paine had to write Common Sense. It was common sense, but he still had to write it down and print it and get it to all the people so that they could read it and be like, you know what, that is fucking common sense. Like I like this guy and I'm gonna support this movement. And if enough of us independents and enough of us democratic socialists or libertarians or the real like old school kind of like care about fiscal responsibility Republicans, but don't want to infringe on people's rights, don't want to religify the government and stuff like that, those people, that's a big block in the middle of the country. And if we all work together and can kind of like be like, yeah, like I know I don't agree about this one thing, but at the end of the day, like no corporate money. So great, like we can have a conversation. We'll worry about it later. Like
we can have all the things we disagree about. Let's start with, what things do we agree about? Okay, great. We agree about A, B, and C. Fantastic. I can work with you on those. One of the things I look for, the top thing I look for when it comes to any representative or any candidate I'm going to interview is, where do you stand on human rights? What do you feel like when it comes to basic human rights? Do you think everybody's entitled to basic human rights, or do you think it should only be given to a select few? I want the honest answer to that, because that right there is key in how you would lead our country.
Yeah, I mean, you just said that you should basically love your enemy. Like, I mean, you ought to, and it's not about the enemy. Like, we're all not enemies. Like, we're all friends. Like, we're all living together and we drive on the same streets and our kids go to
all one race despite the pigmentation of our skin.
You know how many genes it breaks down to? Skin color?
Like 1.
30 genes out of 30,000.
Yeah. It's like it's a minute amount. It is so small. And all it is, okay, cool. That's going to be the level of your pigmentation. I know I'm whiter than white on rice until I get sun, and I either become a lobster, because I burn, I'm natural redhead, or a complete and total freckle. I am more brown than I am white if I actually get sun.
It's just funny because it's like the real differences between us are so funny, like and small, you know what I mean? And like things that are just, like, yeah, like you're Irish, you're going to burn when you're out there. And if you're like more like me, where you got the olive in you, then maybe you don't burn quite as much. But it's not like a reason to discriminate against anybody. It's just like maybe you need more intense sunscreen than me. Like, no big deal.
I use 100 SPF, especially on my tattoos. And when I was in Arizona, I had a freaking parasol. I did not get sun, but I got some. I got freckles. My freckles popped out.
Yeah, there's been a couple times where I really have cherried in the sun, but most of the time I just brown and I like get lucky on that. But my sister, oh my God, she would just turn beet red if she got too much sun. She just had a little bit fairer
My
skin.
brother got the olive skin tone because we're Black Irish. So I'm the only redhead, pale Irish in my family. Everybody else, black hair, dark, ruddy skin, like the Southern Italian, the Spaniard. No, I got the Northern Italian, it's Irish stuff. Of course, I had to be the odd one out of 13 grandkids.
I talked to this guy. He was from New Jersey today, and he's Italian. He was on the TV show that I was on after me with his wife, and he was just talking about how he moved to Oklahoma at one point, and people just like treated him like he was an immigrant. Like they just treated him like he was totally different. And then as soon as they got to know him, everything was fine, and like it was just and that's what's so funny is when you, like I think traveling is what exposes this so much. When you travel, you realize like everybody's just doing the same thing. Like even if you go to like a really poor part of the world, like you're driving around, they got like little tire shops and stuff. Like people are selling, you know what I mean? Like they're just trying to make a living and have their family be able to eat at night and have a little fun. And we're so similar. Like I mean, like who's an enemy like you would normally, like a Russian right now or something, or like an Iranian. Like I'm telling you, you could have tea with those people and like you share your food with them and you would have a great time. Like it's almost always. It's just that now with all this social media where they're able to use it to try to divide us and stuff and try to piss us off all the time, you forget that.
And that's exactly what they do is their goal is to divide us because it's united we stand, divided we fall. And that's what it comes down to is if the people unite against the government, we can stand against it. But as long as they keep us divided, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah. I always say country over party. And I think that's appropriate.
And that's why I tell people I don't do party politics. I don't adhere to any one party. I think they're all schmarmy. I think they all have some decent points, but a lot of bad points. I think they're all part of the same corrupt bird, whether it's a wing or a tail feather. It's all part of that same corrupt bird, which is the reason why we need to get away from party politics. And we just need to do country.
I can feel that energy on every door, every person that I shake their hand. Like, even if they don't think I can do it, they're like, yeah, but I agree with you. And I'm like, yes, like that's why I know I'm in the right place is because I'm hearing that feedback. And I just hope I'm organized and diligent enough to get the T's crossed and the I's dotted so that I can be there. Because they really rig it. I mean, they make it so it's so hard to get on the ballot. But the good news is the Arizona Independent Party has done a good job of giving people like me a way to do it, to at least have a shot. So.
I love that because that's what we need is we need more independent people because independent people are they're the future. They are the way of the future, if you want to be honest. Is whether or not they identify more as Democratic or liberal or this or that, run under independent flag because as long as you are not attached to any party, then you can follow through with your promises.
Yep. I totally agree. Well, listen, my
I was gonna say it's past midnight here.
He's snoring and he's like, bro, like I need my food right now. So I'm so sorry, but I have to cut it. But I just
no, you were fine. Absolutely. I was gonna say it's 12:30 here. I need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I feel bad, but I saw people walking around, so I know you guys are still brewing and stuff like that. So anyway, though, this was so wonderful. I feel like we're kindred souls, and if there's anything I can do for you or anything like that, like I know a lot of candidates, so.
I was going to say, if you would send me the name of people who would be happy to be on here, I would contact them. I want to get them on here. Please do so.
I'm going to put this in here. It's independent candidate network.
I'm writing this down. Don't mind me.
Well, I'm putting it in the chat too, but it's independent network, candidatenetwork.com. And then when you go there, it has 19 of us. And then I think there might be more than 19 now already. So all of those you should interview. There's a lot of really good folks that are running all over the country, Oregon, Kentucky. When I was in Kentucky, I met with one of them, Jay Brown. He's been on the
That's
president.
just it is. I want people all over the country. I'm not looking for one state. I'm looking for every state. I want as many people who want to get on and have their voice heard and get out to as many people as possible. I'll have them on repeatedly. Please, it's what I want.
Yeah, no. So check out that. There's a list of names.
Did you hit enter because it didn't come through?
Yeah, I think it's there. I see it.
I don't. Oh, it may have been blocked. That's what my husband said, is you would see it, but I won't. So if you DM it to me,
Yes.
I can get it out to people that way.
It's just independentcandidatenetwork.com. See if it comes up when you search it, because I think that's right, but I just want to make sure. I guess I can do it too, because I'm sitting in front of my computer. But that's easy, because that way I have all their cell phone numbers. So if you need any of them, let me know.
Beautiful. But
And
yeah,
then-
like I said, whether they're running Republican, whether you're Democrat, whether you're independent, I really don't care. I don't care what party you're associated with. Right now, it's just finding people. Ideally, the more independent people, the better, just because they're not tied to those parties. So it's easier for them to put country over party.
Yep. No, totally. And it's beyond that, I have another 50 or so that I'm collecting names for that are pro-Palestinian or like I think would be sympathetic to that cause. So I can give you that one too. I don't have contact information for all of them, but I bet if you reach out, they're going to want to be on your show.
If you want to give me names or TikToks or whatever, I will reach out to as many people as possible.
You got my number.
Awesome. I'll talk to you later, dude.
All
Take
right.
care.
Later, guys.
Let's see. There we go. Hey. So I'm going to hop off, guys. I have been on for the last 3.5 hours. It was a really good evening. I hope to catch up everybody on the flip side. Take care.